The world just like that came to an end. Out of nowhere, a pandemic hit, and the news was showing a record-breaking number of infected 40,000 people. But that wasn't all. There was also a global war going on, which tanked the economy and led to food shortages. And with all these horrors piling up, some ominous signs started to show up. But who was it that hammered the final nail in the coffin? It was humanity itself. In the end, the ones who brought about humanity's downfall were monsters that looked like they jumped straight out of a video game. And what happened next? Well, everyone knows that part. It's just like in those Zakari stories or those novels with meta-humans people with special powers. But this time, there was something different between reality and those games. The meta-humans weren't strong enough to wipe out the apocalypse completely. 3 days later, everything around is in ruins, but there's still one building in the middle of the city that's totally untouched. And inside, there's a young guy just chilling and eating like it's no big deal. He doesn't seem the least bit worried about the end of the world. But honestly, that's only because he's still living his life like nothing's happening. But there's a catch: this guy is completely cut off from everyone else. That guy was the only person living in that 100 square meter apartment. His whole family, including his mom and dad, they're all out there. His dad had finally decided to buy that place. He took out a $200 million loan and even sold off everything he owned. That's why he's there, even though he wasn't born rich, because someone has to live there first, so they can cash in on the tax perks from buying the place. He ended up stuck inside, locked in after the sudden apocalypse. But what really bugged this guy wasn't apocalypse. Nope, it was his crappy internet connection. Locked up all alone, no Wi-Fi. Yeah, what can you do, right? He'd already tried a bunch of times to get online, but nope, no luck at all. Then, out of nowhere, he looks up and spots a giant monster. It looks like a dragon. This beast is lightning fast. In the blink of an eye, it's already opening its jaws, ready to chomp down on him and the whole building. All he can do is scream and try to shield himself with his hands. As the monster charges in, he's already shrieking in terror, curled up in a ball inside. Suddenly, he realizes that nothing happened. He opens his eyes and sees a system window pop up. It says that someone without entry permission is trying to get in. He's got this passive skill called House Lockdown. No one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. Phew, that was a close one. That's right, nobody can get in unless he says so. Maybe that's the secret to why he survived for so long. It's all thanks to that handy skill. So, we're back to the beginning again. He tries to open that door, but nope, no luck at all. Super frustrated, he starts kicking the door, but it just won't budge. Dang it! He looks out the window. Every building on that street is totally wrecked, and this is already the third day since the world went kaput. The guy just can't take this world anymore. But thanks to that passive skill, he keeps on being protected. Or, in other words, stuck all alone in that house. So sometime later, there he is, staring at that system window in a dark room surrounded by a mountain of trash. Meanwhile, the system is flashing that the ultimate recluse can't leave the house. Ultimate, huh? Yeah, right. He wants out of there so bad, but he's already tried everything, and there's just nothing he can do to change it. And now, the only problem this guy's got is a serious lack of food. The guy already ate everything he had, and there is barely anything left now. And since yesterday, he hasn't even had the energy to turn on the fridge, that fridge of his. He had a bunch of stuff preserved in there, which is why he managed to survive for quite a while. No sweat, but that life didn't last long. Now he keeps thinking he's only got a few tiny packs of noodles left to eat. Whoa. Suddenly a notification pops up. You hunted a level 23 magic. Now you've earned a huge chunk of XP. And your skill level just went up. Huh? He got XP without doing a single thing? How weird is that? So he heads over to his window to check out what's going on outside. And he spots that some goblins had taken down that giant monster, the one that was just outside his window a moment ago. So he figured out that he ended up hunting that monster just because it crashed right into his window. That's why it fell, already dead, right there on the ground. Yeah, that's gotta be it. But thanks to Phaetor, maybe the system, he scored a new skill and some loot that's almost meeting the requirements. And now, they're about to calculate the loot. While he's watching those monsters outside, he notices they're making a whole lot of noise. Why are these monsters suddenly going into frenzy mode? What the heck is happening to these creatures? But out of nowhere, a blood-curdling scream starts making their heads throb with pain. Meanwhile, the loot calculation wraps up, and he gets 2,2,3,2,4,1,1 dropped straight into his wallet. Holy moly, that's a ton of cash. Even he can believe how much money that is. And just like that, the power that was out suddenly comes back on. Well, that's a relief. Now he can keep his food nice and fresh again. And look at that, it seems like this was the system's doing. To preserve his dignity, half of his home's functions will be restored. And the money's already hit his wallet. Whoa, so that means half the house's features are coming back online. This is exactly what he wanted. So that means if he completes a few missions, he'll be able to fully restore his house. He dashes straight to the fridge to check it out. When he opens it, everything's working perfectly. Now he heads over to the faucet, turns it on, and yep, there's water. The electric stove is up and running too. Oh, that's awesome. This is all he needed. Looks like things are starting to work again. Everything, just like it was before the world went kaput. He grabs his phone, wondering if that's working too. But check out this message. No connection. Dang it. Like I said, that system had warned him that only half the functions in his house were working, not everything. But then he gets an idea. He spots a flash drive lying on the floor and decides to pick it up. And he plugs it into the computer to see what's on it. On that flash drive are all his family's memories. When he was a baby, when he was a kid, and then when he became a teenager. And there's also a photo from his coming-of-age birthday, and he starts getting all emotional with all these memories. And he knows he's got to do something to bring his whole family back. So he gets up and heads out to the balcony, thinking about what he should do. Look who's back. That system again. Telling him he can buy some items advertised in the shop at their original prices. Whoa, that system even has a store. But he forgot he's got money deposited in that system account. So maybe it's time for his first purchase. He clicks on the shop icon and sees that, apparently, his wallet has 2 million in it. Maybe now's the time to make his first purchase. Looks like his wallet is fully connected to that store, and it keeps nagging him to buy his first item. All right. He opens the window and the system notifies him again that he can't leave the house. Just like he thought. Nothing's changed. Even though his skill level has gone up a bit, he still can't get out. But one thing's for sure, if he keeps slaying monsters, even if it's in a totally ridiculous way, his level will go up and he'll score a new skill and unlock a bunch of cool stuff too. He keeps checking out his system, thinking that if he gets a skill that might let him leave, maybe he can actually pull it off. But how the heck is he supposed to kill monsters when he's stuck in that room? He eyes those bird monsters, thinking it's going to be tough for a monster to hit him and for him to die again. But then he spots a bunch of goblins down below, looting the remains of that monster on the ground. Maybe he can actually take out a few goblins from this distance, so he decides to run his first experiment right now with a water bottle. If it were me, I'd pick something a little less important. He gets ready, takes aim, and hurls that bottle out with all his might. And yep, that bottle went right through, so it works. He can toss stuff out of the house, so now he's going to try it with something a bit heavier. This guy's about to use a dumbbell, but before he can toss it, he spots a goblin gathering. Man, if I were in his shoes, I totally think those goblins are having a strategy meeting to hunt humans, no doubt about it. Even if they're monsters, there's some serious organization going on. Some are collecting, others are hauling stuff. That means those goblins are heading out. Whoa, this isn't gonna work. Time to test it out. So, he gets ready to throw that dumbbell, and he hurls it with all his might. And bam, he aims to hit one of the monsters. Well, that little prayer worked. It actually worked. He nailed one right on the head. None of those monsters have a clue what's going on. Dumbbells falling from the sky? Dang. Just imagine, you're out hunting a human with your buddies and out of nowhere, it starts raining dumbbells. Now they're totally screwed. But instead of being happy, the guy's terrified. Because he sees the goblins looking up. He glances down and realizes there's only one dumbbell left. Unfortunately, there's nothing else around that could take out those monsters. And he's definitely not strong enough to throw TVs or computers. While the monsters are screaming down below, all he can do is watch. The goblins start gathering together, and one of them is even holding that dumbbell, staring up. And he's pointing like he's saying, "It was that guy who threw this at us." While our guy's totally clueless about what to do well, since everyone's all bunched up, maybe tossing a bomb would be the best move. Some monsters are pissed at that guy, and if they catch him, they'll tear him apart. Him. Completely, so yeah, he's toast. They've already figured out who threw it. Now, they start charging toward the building. While he's just watching everything from up above. Since they're closer now, the distance isn't bad at all. Now everything's going exactly as not planned. He opens up his shop again, and it still says he has to list some item, so he clicks on list. Maybe he needs to list that altar. A system starts scanning the altar and now pops up a warning. A classic 3-kilo non-slip altar has been listed on the ruler's list. According to him, it's got the same price tag. When he bought it online, it was $16,990, so it looks like he's nailed the market rate. It's exactly the same as it was before the world went down the drain. Now that the item's been added to the shop, he can buy it, and honestly, that's all he ever wanted. So, he grabs 2 of them. The items that were in the system start materializing right in front of him. Our boy is starting to love his system, and now he's all geared up and ready to rain down some serious pain on those monsters. He's already launched the first shot. The guy's got sniper level aim and nailed it right in the head of the first goblin. And there's no way he's missing out on that sweet experience. Not to mention the cash. He just got 33.45 added to his wallet. Now things are really starting to heat up, but the goblins? Oh, they're not happy at all. They tried to revive their buddy, but nope, no luck whatsoever. If they were already mad at that guy, now they're absolutely furious. But unlike last time, this time they didn't even have a chance to run. Suddenly, dumbbells started raining down everywhere. Unfortunately, he didn't hit any of them this round, but he just kept on buying more. Now after buying 3, he grabs those dumbbells and starts chucking them all at once. This time, he managed to hit another one, and the last goblin, he's not sticking around to find out if he's next. He managed to hunt down a level 6 goblin and scored 2,512 points, and his skill level went up too. And hey, guess who just unlocked a brand new skill? Himself. Nice going. The skill he got is an alternate dimension used for storing items. This time, he scored himself a storage ability, so he decides to open it up and see what's inside. He grabs one of his dumbbells and decides to stash it in the storage. Just like it materializes, it also goes straight into the storage. Classic dumbbell, non-slip, 3QO successfully stored. Since he's already tested out how the storage works, now he decides to summon his item and grabs it back in his hands. Now, he can summon any item from storage, wherever and whenever he wants. That is, in his house, at least for now. But in this case, he's already got a pretty awesome idea brewing. Whoa. And he started running all sorts of experiments in his room. So many, that a light even started shining out the window. Now it's time to open up the storage, so he starts summoning a bunch of dumbbells. But unlike last time, those dumbbells are now popping up in midair outside the building. But hold up, if he spends 16 grand and only makes 3, he's gonna go broke. In no time, he's gonna make it rain dumbbells on those goblins. So those dumbbells start falling, and all the goblins can do is watch and get squished. One of them lands smack on a goblin's head, and the system starts pinging him with notifications that he's taken out a bunch of goblins. Level 5, level 6, level 7, he just keeps leveling up and racking up a ridiculous amount of XP. And on top of that, he managed to score 5, 4, 6, and 60 in cash. The system keeps asking if he wants to list more items, and of course, he says yes. After all, he's got something in mind to put up for sale. What could it be this time? Our boy has already managed to list 10 items since the shop opened. Some sausages, noodles, water, rice, eggs, milk, seaweed, cooking oil, and ketchup. But everything was kind of half-eaten and already opened. And he still had 21,78,000 left over. He even sold the altar he used to take down the goblins. Now, he's got all sorts of supplies to cover his daily needs. But it still feels like something's missing, and he keeps staring at his wallet with all that money. And only now does he realize he lost But that thing doesn't even cost money. The storage box. Where could it have gone? Now he realizes it went to the electricity bill. But he hasn't even been using that much electricity. It must have been because of the fridge. No doubt about it. If this keeps up, he's going to end up broke. But our boy keeps himself busy with the goblins. After he hunted down that bunch of goblins, chucking all those dumbbells at them, they ran off and abandoned their old home. And after all that, he only managed to take down 2 more goblins. He keeps looking around, searching for some other kind of creature he can hunt. Well, all that's left of that bird is just its head on the ground. If there's nothing left for him to hunt there, he's got to find another way. If only another magic would crash into his window again and he'd score a jackpot like last time, everything would be smooth sailing. But out of nowhere, luck smiles on him, and he spots a new bird, a real beauty, just like before. Another magic trying to gobble him up just like last time, and he freaks out again. Whoa, another magic! He runs off, saying that God really hasn't abandoned him. He grabs a frying pan, ties it to a ladder, and sticks it out the window to try and catch the monster's attention. That frying pan starts to shine, and the plan actually works. He gets the monster's attention. The beast growls, eyeing this weird guy making noise and flashing lights from his window. There's no way this plan could go wrong. Now the monster charges straight at him, just like last time, full speed ahead with that huge gaping mouth. Well, looks like the plan actually worked. Now all he's got to do is wait for the monster to kick the bucket. But unlike last time, the monster slammed into the barrier while he was watching, thinking that at this rate, everything was in the bag. He was counting his chickens before they hatched. He thought he'd level up as soon as he took that thing down, but not this time. The monster managed to stop just in time, and only the gust from its wings blew into the apartment. The force from those wings flapping is insane, but he still managed to watch and try to figure out what just happened. Out of nowhere, that gigantic magic monster vanished, and when he stuck his head out to look poof, where'd the monster go? There he was, all set to pounce and chow down. Holy moly, what a scare, dude. Calicontrido, he tried over and over again to break through that barrier and get his tasty meal, but nope, no luck at all. Some kind of system just wouldn't let that monster in, and he kept trying again and again. Looks like that barrier really isn't going to break easily. Or will it? So he decides to open up his shop again and see if there's anything he can do in there. The only items listed are just the ones he himself has, because apparently the loot calculation only happens if the corpse is nearby. But hunting goblins didn't always go smoothly. Some surviving goblins managed to drag away the bodies of their fallen buddies, and those corpses never got looted. That means there's a limit to when looting can actually happen. So he's got to make sure to kill that monster and have the body drop close by, all while the monster's still trying to get through. Maybe a shot would be a great way to take that monster down. But looking at his list, all he's got is food. Wait, hold up. There's canola oil in there. So he hatches a plan and buys 10 bottles of canola oil. The system asks if he's really sure about this. He says yes, in his hand. Done. 10 bottles of canola oil right in his hand. He grabs all those bottles of oil and takes off running. He grabs a frying pan and pours everything in to heat it up. He turns on the little stove, grabs a broomstick and a rag, and ties it all together with tape. And now he starts soaking that rag in the oil. While the oil is boiling, he opens up the shop. And now he decides to list that item. And he pours all that hot oil in, storing everything inside the system. The boiling canola oil has been successfully listed. Now all that's missing is a lighter. His secret weapon is now ready. Everything he needs is right at his fingertips. Now he sets the rag on fire. With the help of the oil, it's going to take ages to put that out. Outside, the monster hasn't given up. It's still pounding away. The monster watches him and watches the fire. He starts yelling at the system to summon the hot canola oil. Suddenly, the system opens upright above the monster's head, dumping all that scorching oil on it. The oil is so hot that the monster's skin starts to bubble, and the monster screams, then starts getting ready to leave. He grabs that torch and throws it right at the creature, telling it to die quickly. The flaming stick hits the beast dead, and the canola oil, already sizzling hot, lights up like gasoline. And the monster starts burning, all in a day's work. Dang, there was nothing that monster could do. It even tried to fly, but its feathers were totally soaked in oil and caught fire. All it could do was crash nearby and burn until it turned into crispy bacon. Our boy just watches. While the monster isn't dead yet, it keeps sizzling like bacon and keeps screaming on the ground. It keeps burning for a few minutes, and finally, he gets a message from the system. Congratulations, you managed to defeat a level 27 Calican monster. He scored a massive amount of CISP, and his skill level went up too. And now, he's unlocked a brand new ability. But right now, all that matters to him is the loot calculation from the monster's body. While the system crunches the numbers for the loot, smoke rises from the creature's body. Unlike last time, this time he scored 9,347,487,1. 9 million. Whoa, almost 10 million just for a single monster. But the system wasn't done yet. It says the requirements have been met. Now, he can expand his territory a little further out. Suddenly, his whole house starts shaking, and he has absolutely no idea what's going on. Out of nowhere, his vision starts getting super weird. It's like he suddenly has X-ray vision or something. He starts yelling, and he's rubbing his eyes, trying to figure out what on earth is happening to his sight. Apparently, he can now sense, see, and hear every single inch of the hallways and his house, even the houses next door. And then he realizes there are people there, in one room, shut away, just like him. He always thought he was alone, but it looks like there are actually people there. Those are the neighbors from the house next door. Wait, is this really happening, or is he just imagining things? There are people there, a whole family. But he was convinced he was totally isolated in that building. Then, just like that, the X-ray vision switches off. Well, just a moment ago, he saw it all. Choi, the dad, 30 years old. Park Yoon, also 30 years old, the wife. And two little girls, Choi Nain, who's 6, and Choi So, just 3 years old. The system pops up a notification saying he's found beings who meet the requirements to be accepted as citizens. Would he like to grant them citizenship? Oh, for crying out loud, he has no idea what the system is even talking about. What do you mean? So now he's a ruler and can hand out citizenship to people? And get this, anyone he doesn't give citizenship to gets kicked out of the house. The system just keeps firing off notifications. It keeps asking if he wants to grant citizenship to those people. And if he doesn't, they'll all be left out there, exposed to the monsters. So he tells the system to grant citizenship to all 4 of them. The system obeys. Awesome. Maybe he's unlocked some new abilities related to citizenship, so he decides to take a closer look at his supreme eyes. Level 1. Nothing in the house can escape his gaze with that skill. It's really good, but he still wants to check if there's anything about citizens under the ruler's passive ability. There it is, citizenship management. Sure enough, it's got all the info he needs right there. The current population is 4, but it can hold up to 600 people, and even the trust level goes up to 600. That's an insane number of people under one of the kids' names. There's a trust score of 24 and a level 9. There's even an awakened ability. Looks like they can even gain a bit of experience. And he can hand out money to them, assign missions, or even kick them out. He can even control exactly how much money he gives. Whoa, if that ability had landed in the wrong hands, everyone there would be totally doomed. So, does that mean this system is going to make him stronger like this? Maybe he should give one of them a mission. He can set up a mission description, time limit, reward, and even a penalty for failing. It's basically like having admin powers. He can fill in any mission requirements he wants. So, in this case, he's going to assign a mission to hunt a goblin. Time limit, 168 hours. Reward, a small amount of XP and no penalty at all. Would he like to assign this mission, yes or no? But if there's just a basic reward, how far can he actually go with the failure penalty? Could he, set the penalty to death? Alright, so here's how the mission's gonna look. Hunt goblins with a 168-hour time limit to earn a small amount of XP. And if you fail, you die. Yes or no? He thinks that penalty is way too harsh, and maybe he should just cancel that request. He keeps thinking that if he wanted to, he could just kill his citizens whenever he felt like it. Is that really his power? But something doesn't add up. What's he actually going to do with this ability? Right now, what are the possibilities? And what about those supreme eyes? So, he starts using his supreme eyes to try and dig up something else, since he can see absolutely everything. He's going to investigate thoroughly. Meanwhile, in that house down the street, the wife is super worried and asks her husband what they're going to do from now on. And he just scratches his head, desperately trying to come up with an answer. Unfortunately, he's going to have to go out to get some water, and she'll have to stay there with the kids and wait for him. But she thinks that's way too dangerous. Still, sadly, they don't have any other choice. But is there even anywhere nearby where they could find water? He remembers there was a convenience store close by. There's definitely got to be something there. One of the girls pipes up and says she's not even thirsty, so Dad doesn't need to go out. But Dad tries to keep it together, because someone's got to do this job. He asks his wife to trust him, promising he'll definitely bring something back. She's not a fan of this plan at all, but sadly, she can't think of anything better. All she can do is agree. Meanwhile, our boy is watching everything unfold with his all-seeing eyes. The situation is even worse than he thought. So, he opens up his shop and checks out his item list. He's thinking it'd be awesome if he could store more stuff. Maybe he should open up the skills window. Let's do this. He can buy listed items, and he's also got that passive dignity preservation, which restores some functions of his house. And there's also the alternative dimension, where he can stash a bunch of items. Reading through all that info, he gets an idea. Maybe he should level up his Supreme Resource Shop skill. So he starts activating it, leveling up that skill awesome. The Supreme Recluse's shop is now at level 2, and the number of items he can list has jumped to 20. And he also gets a 10% discount on the price of all items. A 10% bonus is a pretty sweet skill, not bad at all. And look, he's still got 2 points left. Maybe he should invest more in the shop's preservation, or maybe in dignity, so he can meet more citizens from now on. And that's exactly what he does. Now he can list 40 items in that shop. And there's also a feature to restore items. Whoa. That means he can take old items and turn them into brand new ones. Looks like leveling up his shop to level 3 was totally worth it. Now, he decides to open the shop to buy water, sundaes, and tangerines. Maybe he should level up his other skills too. Just saying. Who knows, he might discover something cool. The next skill he's going to level up is the preservation of dignity of the so-called recluse. If he provides electricity and water to his neighbor, he can ask for all sorts of things in return. So let's do this. That skill just hit stage 2. And now he can register some vassals. But he's never even heard that old word vassals. They'd rather call them collaborators, honestly. Alright, back to the neighbor's house we go. The dad's already heading out to get some food. Meanwhile, his wife tells him to take care. She'll be waiting eagerly for him to come back, along with their 2 kids. He gives each of them a kiss, and tells them to guard the house while he's gone. He promises he'll be back in a flash, but the girls, with tears in their eyes, ask if he's really coming back. And he tells them yes, of course. He's just going out to get some food and water and asks them to behave and listen to their mom. But then one of the girls starts crying. More and more, louder and louder, she starts screaming that there are so many monsters outside, sobbing her heart out, totally inconsolable. She remembers that one fine day, they were outside building sandcastles, when suddenly they started seeing all sorts of monsters. They were coming after them fast, trying to gobble them up, but thanks to some quick reflexes, the girls managed to run away. And at the very last second, their dad managed to grab both of them, along with their mom, and they all dashed far, far away from those monsters. That's why that girl is still totally freaked out by the outside world. The dad remembers that scene too, and honestly, he doesn't want to go outside either, but he's got no other choice. The two girls start crying their eyes out, totally inconsolable, while their mom tries to calm them down, telling them to stop and that everything's going to be okay. Dad looks tough on the outside, but inside he's shaking like a leaf. This might be the last time he ever sees his family, but he's got to keep it together. As they're saying their goodbyes, the door suddenly starts making noises like someone or something is trying to get in. Mom shields the kids while Dad grabs a golf club, ready for whatever's coming. The door keeps rattling and he's bracing himself for whatever's on the other side. Out of nowhere, the noise stops, and someone or something on the other side tells him to open the door. Please, Dad has no idea if he should open it or not. Is it really a person out there, or is it some kind of monster? Mimicking a human voice, whatever's out there keeps yelling for him to open the door, and he's stuck, totally unsure if he should or not. What on earth are they supposed to do? Seriously, nobody in that room has a clue what to do next. All Mom can do is cover the kids' mouths so they don't make a sound, while that thing or person on the other side just keeps making noise. And honestly, it looks like that door isn't going to hold much longer. Then the noise stops. Did it leave? Whew, that was way too close. But then the door, which was locked, swings open. Dad, who's been clutching that golf club like his life depends on it, totally freaks out. On instinct, he drops the golf club, spins around to shield his family, and everyone just starts screaming. Even he starts screaming, right along with his wife and the kids. While the whole family is losing it, screaming their heads off, they suddenly hear, "Hey, excuse me." So everyone opens their eyes to see what's up. And there he is, our guy with the bag. If he were a monster, he would have taken out the whole family by now. But who the heck is this guy? He introduces himself as neighbor Kim Yep, the guy next door. He just popped over to offer some water and tangerines and, honestly, to find someone to chat with. Looks like Dad's problems are solved for now, but the family's still a bit suspicious of this dude. I mean, come on, during an lips, some random guy shows up at your house offering water and snacks? That sounds weird to me and probably to you too. But honestly, that dad has zero reason to turn down free water and food. He invites the guy in, while Mom, way in the back, is still giving him the side eye. To be real, Dad and the girls don't trust this guy one bit. Looks like the shock was just too much for them. But neighbor Kim, he's not giving up, is going to keep trying to stay in touch with them. He starts scoping out the place and notices there are a ton of curtains everywhere. Honestly, that's a brilliant move. That way, it seriously cuts down the chances of getting attacked by monsters. So he decides to brighten the place up a bit. He looks up and activates the system. Tells it to turn on all the lights. Boom! Now that's more like it. Mom and Dad are totally baffled about how the lights came back on. Now he offers some water and food to his kids while the guy grabs some and says thanks. The girls snatch up that water, totally parched, and gulp it all down in a flash. One of them drank so fast, she actually choked on the water, poor thing. Looks like they hadn't had a drink in ages. I wonder if they're into tangerines too. One of them grabs the fruit, while the other still eyes it suspiciously. Mom steps in to peel the fruit, breaks off a segment, and pops it right into the kid's mouth. Oh my goodness, it had been ages since she'd eaten any kind of fruit. The taste is just out of this world. That fruit is super sweet. Mom asks if it's good. She nods and says yes. Meanwhile, the other one is practically drooling. She tells Mom she wants a piece too. Whoa. Wow. She thought it was really sweet too. So, that's it. Everyone's trust just shot way up. With Shui, it hit 50 points. And now, loyalty has been unlocked. So, it's shot past 30 points. Now that Shui has checked off all the boxes to get promoted to vassal, the system keeps bugging him, telling him to either give her a mission or kick her out. While he's checking out those system notifications, he's still keeping an eye on that little family for now. Happy. I mean, what could a tiny girl like that even do as a vassal? After all, she's super young. Unlike regular citizens, of which he can have up to 600, he can only have 10 vassals. And he really needs them to be at least at Shui's level, so they can actually carry out his orders. The dad is level 9. Has 31 years old, but his loyalty is only at 31. So if he can just get his dad to trust him a little more, he'll finally be able to make his first vassal. While he's thinking about all this, his dad calls out to him and thanks him again for the food and the energy. He says he has no idea how he could ever repay such kindness. So, our guy invites his dad out into the hallway for a little chat. Once they're out in the corridor of that building, he starts asking his dad if he's recently found out that he has citizenship. And he says that a notification window popped up, saying that his whole family got that notification about 30 minutes ago. But besides that, did anything else weird happen? Well, other than not being able to move their bodies for a while? No? So that means they were basically frozen for a bit until they got his citizenship? Our boy tells Mr. Shui that he's going to help him live a normal life. First things first, Shu is not buying it. He thinks there's no way that's possible, but our boy keeps insisting that monsters won't be barging into his house anymore. Meanwhile, Shui still thinks that's impossible. Sooner or later, they're going to have to face monsters. Yeah, Kim thinks so too. It's inevitable, at least for now. Dad knows nothing comes for free and asks what he has to do in return. Kim says he could even lose his life doing this. Does he really still want to give it a shot? Dad swallows those harsh words and gets lost in thought, but quickly says yes. Even before he knew there was someone else in that building, he was already thinking he'd have to go out and try to buy food and water. Back then, he'd already risked his life. Suddenly, the guy spots a golf club and asks, "So, what's the price for this one?" That golf club right there cost a whopping 4,000 or 5,000 won. Looks like that thing is super expensive, and if he keeps trying to haggle for it at the store, it's just not going to work out because he really needs to save his money. Dad asks why he suddenly brought that up. Oh boy. He quickly changes the subject, saying it's nothing. I wonder if he also remembers the day the monster showed up. Ah, that scene, there's no way he could ever forget it. It happened on a weekend. The sight of all those monsters chasing after him was absolutely terrifying. So, it seems like the people who stayed home that day actually managed to survive. When he took out a goblin with one of those weights, he realized that a single monster wasn't all that strong. The levels of those monsters are actually lower than that of an adult human. But what really makes things tough is that they always move in groups. But honestly, that's kind of the same for humans too. So, all he needs to do is build an army first. Could Shui be the very first recruit? He pitches the idea to Mr. Shui to go look for survivors together with him. Amidst that city, with all those destroyed buildings, there were still a few left standing. And among those, with all the windows blacked out, there was a penthouse that still had power. And inside that apartment, the system notified him that Shui's trust had gone up. And then, it looked like it went up again. His trust level with Shui now hit 40 points, while the others stayed the same. And his population is still just 4 people. Maybe, among the survivors, he'll eventually be able to look for his family members. After all, he's slowly getting to know a lot of new people. Then, out of nowhere, he hears a noise that totally ruins his peace. He gets up, trying to figure out what's going on. He heads over to the balcony. It sounds like the screams are coming from out there. Looking down, he spots a group of people fighting. They're up against a bunch of goblins, but since he's stuck in that apartment, it's going to be pretty tough for him to help those folks. The goblins start screaming like maniacs, but the humans aren't giving up. They're ready to do whatever it takes to survive. One of the humans is so strong that he hurls a ball right at a goblin's head, launching the poor thing way off into the distance. While everyone else is freaking out over how insanely strong that guy is, Kim is just as clueless as the rest. How does that dude have so much power? And there's another guy over there too, rocking a bow and arrow. He's already fired off 2 arrows, nailing 2 monsters right in the middle of their heads. Honestly, it looks like those goblins don't stand a chance against this squad of humans. Now one appears with a stick, the guy takes a huge jump, 5 meters high, and jumps towards that one. Goblins. The poor goblin didn't even have a chance. His head got completely smashed in with just one swing of the staff. That guy is on a whole different level. The rest of the goblins start running for their lives, totally aware they can't handle this human crew. This group is made up of defenders and also some weaker folks. Among those hiding behind a monster's body, one of the defenders and attackers was a girl with a 6th sense. Sharp as ever, she notices something dropping to the ground, so she aims her bow to check out what it is. But then she realizes it's just a bag of food, and up above, there's a guy waving, looking all energetic. In his apartment, Kim keeps waving to see if anyone sees him. The woman looks up and sees him. He starts waving even harder, looking like a total lunatic. Then his doorbell rings, and it looks like his very first visitor is knocking at the door. There he is, standing with a box in his hands. Kim opens the door and invites him in. The guy thanks him and steps forward. But what could be inside that box? But as soon as he puts one foot inside, some kind of system blocks his entry, and he's left totally confused. Looks like there's an invisible barrier right there. Kim stares at his system, trying to figure out what just happened. Yeah, him too. The system said that guy isn't qualified to enter the house. Wait, what do you mean? He's not qualified? What does that even mean? Not even Kim himself has a clue about what's going on. What could this possibly be? He starts wondering if maybe no one is allowed to enter his house. Maybe only people who are registered, like his vassals, can come in. Is that it? Well, since that guy can't get in, who's gonna grab the box and bring it to him? He'll have to do it himself. Everything in his house that could be used as a weapon is packed inside this box. So he grabs the box, sets it down on the floor, and starts opening it up. All right, first up, there's a toolbox. Second, there are some butcher knives. At that store, there were 5 bottles of water and 5 packs of noodles. So he starts materializing all those items right there in exchange for those toolboxes and weapons. The guy can't believe what he's seeing. That dude can just make stuff appear on the floor just like that, out of nowhere. He grabs all that food, stuffs it into the box, and tells the guy to head down to the first floor and drop everything off at the entrance. The guy, whose survival instincts are about as sharp as a dodo's, says the first floor is dangerous, but it's all good. Those goblins only get rowdy in broad daylight, but deep down, he's itching to get that group of humans and bring them closer to him. Just picture Ita dude with a super powerful ball and another kid who's a total beast with a bow and arrow. A guy with a bat and a bunch of people in the background who could totally end up serving him too. His plan is going to be a smash hit. Those people won't have a choice, they'll have to come looking for him once they realize he's got food. He tells that guy he's got a plan brewing in his head. All he's got to do is take this food to the first floor and just leave it there. But hey, if he runs into anyone, he can bring them up to his apartment too. Alright then, it's settled. He's already given the orders, and his guy is going to carry them out in no time. So that dude heads out. While he's watching closely, he pops open his system window, thinking about giving that guy something cool in exchange for that mission window. His mission is basically to deliver 5 bottles of water and 5 packs of noodles to the first floor. Send and return time limit, 24 hours. Reward, a small amount of XP. Penalty for failure, none. The guy who was already on his way to complete the mission notices a notification pop up for him, while Kim tells him that if he does it, he can get even more stuff with the XP. It's kind of like leveling up in an apocalypse game. Kim says that guy is still at level. Whoa, holy moly, I thought F was low. I've seen N before, but geez, my goodness. If that guy manages to level up, he'll score some sweet rewards too, so Kim's counting on him. Now we're talking this dad's got a mission to accomplish. Since the elevator's still out of order, he's gonna have to take the stairs. Looks like he's got a long way to go. Well then, let's do this time to head down those stairs. He's already made it down 1 floor, and now there's just 1 left. Yep, we finally made it. There he is, outside the building. He looks around trying to spot someone and remembers he needs to jot down how long it took him to get down. That's when he notices a few people nearby. Or wait, are those monsters? That guy wears glasses, but even so, he still can't see properly. Are those people or goblins? Just the thought that they might be goblins totally freaks him out. So all he's got to do now is run away from there as fast as he can. He turns to bolt, steps wrong, twists his ankle, and face plants right into the ground. He had just one simple mission: grab the supplies and get out. But he couldn't even pull that off properly. With his foot throbbing in pain, all he can think about is moving as fast as possible to get out of there, but it looks like it's already too late. If those things are monsters, he's done for. He turns around and squeezes his eyes shut, bracing himself for a sudden dramatic death. But just like last time, all he hears is a hey, and he opens his eyes again. People start asking if he's okay, like, is he feeling sick or something? Then, a few moments later, the doorbell rings and the system notifies him that some guy who doesn't have permission to enter is trying to get in. Kim already has a hunch about who it might be, so he decides to check it out using his ultimate eyes. Well, all he sees is a group of people along with his very first citizen. The girl recognizes that this is the building where some guy had tossed a pack of noodles. Someone else chimes in, saying there's probably food in there after all. Their own supplies are running out, which is exactly what Kim wanted. His plan totally worked. He finally managed to lure more people over there. A system notification pops up again, saying that beings who meet the requirements for citizenship are approaching. And it asks if he'd like to offer them citizenship. Last time it was about promoting them to citizens or not. This time it's about proposing citizenship. In that last expansion process, he was able to grant citizenship by force, since they were already inside his domain. But for outsiders, they were given the choice. So in this case, those people can totally turn down his offer too. Now, what do you think he should do? Drop your thoughts in the comments. While he's mulling it over, the people are waiting for him at the door. Then, he notices his doorbell ringing, and a quick idea pops into his head. All he's got to do now is check it out. So, he gets a little closer to see the faces of his visitors. He answers and tells the guy to hang on a sec. He's on his way. But then the system pops up a notification saying Shui is still in the middle of his mission. Does he want to edit that quest? Of course, our boy types yes, so he starts editing, and now all that guy has to do is treat 6 guests to some food. So, his mission got updated. While he's watching everything unfold on the screen, he sees that his citizen instantly gets the mission on his own system screen. All that guy has to do is tell everyone he's going to give them food first while he's got something cooking in his mind. The guy agrees, right? What else can he do? Well, then the guy starts his mission. He tells everyone he's handing out food for free. While he's handling things outside, Kim is still staring at his window, which says to offer citizenship to all 6 of them. Now it's all done. He just offered citizenship to Dong, Kang, Del, Kim, Gayung, Yo, Yehim, Kim, so everything's set. He just offered citizenship to all 6 of them. And the right to access the 30th floor was granted to all 6 too. Now, they all managed to get into the apartment, since the number of citizens hit 10, the amount of experience and money citizens earn went up by 10%. Awesome, that's exactly what he wanted to hear. An experience bonus plus a cash bonus. That group of people can hardly believe they scored such sweet rewards just by going out to hunt monsters. He's super grateful to be welcomed with open arms. Kim is now checking out the citizen management panel. Hardong, level 23, 19 trust. Kang, level 13, 23 trust. Kang, 15, 17, 17. Also trustworthy. Yahim, level 10, 30 trust. Haken, level 11, 15 trust. Moon, level 10, 11 trust. That guy who's at level 23, could he be as strong as that Calican Kim took down before? So Kim decides to dig a little deeper into this guy. Turns out, he's got a baseball throwing skill, but it eats up stamina and boosts the ball's power by 3 times, just as you'd expect. Yep, that guy is definitely a metahuman. Actually, depending on who's throwing the baseball, it can totally turn into a weapon. This guy's skill tripling his power is just perfect for monster slaying, and he can do it from a distance. As for trust, he can build that up slowly. Now he's setting the XP distribution rate for everyone. Let's go with 6 at 70%. Alright, the setup is all done. Everything's done, and for now, it's absolutely perfect. Now comes his favorite part, handing out monster hunting quests to everyone while he just chills on his couch, raking in the experience. And the cash too. It's like he's controlling these people, just like in a video game. Of course, he'll still need to actually meet these folks when the time is right, at the perfect moment. Because maybe, just maybe, these are the people who'll end up rescuing his family. Suddenly, the system announces that Citizen Hardong's trust level has gone up. And he's totally baffled, he has no idea why. After all, he didn't do anything. Kim's trust level has gone up too. And Dong's trust? Yep, that's gone up as well. Now things are getting even more complicated. A reunion on the other side. The dad is inviting everyone to come into his house. The woman is just standing there, totally confused about what's going on. Why are there so many people in that house? He just says he'll explain later and asks her to whip something up. For the guests, of course. But there's absolutely no food ready in that house. So she's going to have to start from scratch. And honestly, she really didn't want to do that, but he asks her to help him out. Meanwhile, that guy upstairs is cooking up a plan of his own. She pauses for a second, thinks it over, and then decides to help right away. She asks everyone to give her a moment while she gets something ready. Nobody there ever says no to food. All they can do is say thank you, but there's still one person who's suspicious, still asking what kind of person Jairon really is. But even that dad isn't sure. He doesn't know anything about that other guy either. Why's that? He's just his neighbor, right? Or is he still his neighbor? The guy seems very curious, but he keeps saying that guy is a very reserved person. But nevertheless, they got energy and food. All thanks to him. Now that guy finally gets it. This dude must be another metahuman, and his powers must be off the charts. I mean, he keeps handing out food like it's nothing. As the one who picked up the pack of noodles that had fallen on the floor. He thinks to himself, glancing at the others, that he's got to impress this guy, no matter what. After all, this dude is powerful enough to provide electricity, food, and water. In an apocalyptic world, that's basically a miracle power. This guy is just on a whole different level. Well, looks like that guy's wife is going to take a little while to finish cooking. And since they'd been outside, maybe they could really use a good shower. That was exactly the invitation those girls needed. All they wanted was to finally get clean. The guy with the baseball bat finally got it. If there's electricity, that means all those apartments are usable. And that also means they've got hot water. Wow, it's been ages since anyone's had a hot shower. Could this be another one of Mr. Jiren's superpowers? Honestly, I think I'm just gonna start calling this guy Jamin. He points the way for the girls, telling them they can both shower at the same time. And it wasn't just the baseball guy who thought this dude was some kind of metahuman. The other guy was thinking the same thing. And honestly, it's pretty likely this guy's got way more powerful abilities than anyone else there, right there. But then one of them grabs the other's shoulder and tells him not to lose hope. All they need to do is give him a good a beating. But he couldn't even get the whole word out. The other guy just calls him a lunatic, totally shutting down his train of thought. All they really need to do is impress this guy. That's it. The guy begs him to please just keep quiet. That way, maybe they can actually secure a much better future for everyone. But however, and in any case, the ultimate goal, it's all about grabbing as much food as possible, and all they have to do to avoid messing up is keep an eye on everything that's there. Everyone agrees. But you know that classic smile, right? The one everyone recognizes when someone agrees with a grin like that. Our dear Jaimim knows exactly how confident each of his citizens really is. So there they are, face to face with Jaimim, and the guy puts his hand on Jaimim's shoulder, apologizing, saying that all of this is his fault. But honestly, it doesn't look like they did anything wrong. Why is he even apologizing? Sorry for what exactly? He starts saying that if he hadn't invited them to the grand opening party, none of this would have happened. But the guy just shrugs it off, saying he came because he wanted to, and it's nobody's fault. So, after they sort everything out, they head over to his grandma's house, but deep down, that guy is totally wrecked, thinking it's already too late. He knows that, surrounded by all those monsters, the chances of finding someone alive there are pretty slim, even if there's still a tiny bit of hope. Even if hope is running low, the place isn't far at all. If they can just work together, they might actually make it there. No doubt about it, he thinks for a moment longer, and then, out of nowhere, he gets it suddenly, the door behind them starts making noise. They all turn to look, the noise gets louder and louder, and the door slowly creaks open. The guy instantly gets his ball ready in his hand, and there he is. It's Jaimin, holding 2 bags, just standing there. The guys had a weird feeling the first time they saw that dude. While he was saying he was there to help everyone, the guy started thinking maybe this person could actually save them all. Looks like everyone else had that same gut feeling right then and there. But nobody in that room was ready to meet their next leader just yet. Everyone in that room is seriously hungry, and now they're all gathered together, just waiting for the food to show up. Yeah, it seems like that place got a little too cramped for that many people, but you know, they all showed up without warning. So the dad appears bringing a mountain of food for everyone. But that guy is so clumsy, he almost drops it all. Rice goes flying as he tries to serve the guests. Mom's feeling a bit insecure, not sure if everyone's going to like her cooking. Oh, but honestly, everything looks perfect. Rice, eggs, salad, dried beef, and something that looks like a kind of omelet. Everything looks absolutely amazing. The girl with the bow and arrow is practically drooling. It's been ages since she's had a meal this tasty. Honestly, poor thing, she can't even control herself and starts wolfing everything down super fast. Mom says she was only able to whip up such a delicious meal thanks to the ingredients Jaimin brought. Otherwise, she would have just served rice and tangerines. Well, after she said that, Park's confidence shot up to 50, and she also leveled up to level 5. Looks like her confidence hit the peak of 50 before her husband's did. Anyway, everyone thanks her for the meal and digs in. It's been a while since they've eaten food cooked on a real stove too. In an apocalypse, that's pure luxury. Yep, everyone totally agrees. The item that everyone thought was the coolest was that egg spring roll. It looks just like those sweet spring rolls you get at Japanese restaurants. Suddenly, one of the daughters shows up, saying she wants a little bit of that roll too. Egg spring roll. Mom says she'll make more after the guests are done eating. But the girl with the bow calls her over to eat together with her. So she runs over stuff that seems totally normal to folks like us. For them, it's a real luxury. That egg spring roll was made with a whole lot of love. And the taste, absolutely one of a kind. Kim calls everyone over to sit down and eat together with him. After all, there's enough food for everyone. The two of them thank him and say they'll have dinner together. Apparently everyone there is just living a normal life. Just like our main character. He thinks to himself that it's been ages since he's had a meal this tasty. Just like this. He remembers the food his mom used to make, and he hopes that everyone is safe and doing well. That food vanished in the blink of an eye. They ate so much they ended up getting sleepy, so the mom decides to tuck the two of them into bed. While Kim watches, he starts saying that they're going to finish the conversation they just had. He remembers everyone saying they can't go to Grandma's house, even though it's so close. And the reason? Goblins. They're still the biggest problem in this area. Apparently, that apartment building's underground parking lot is the perfect hideout for them. There are about 50 goblins there, and it looks like that's their base. Someone else chimes in. 50? No way, there are way more than 50. There are thousands of those monsters packed in there. Whoever thinks his eyesight only works up to the 30th floor is dead wrong. And maybe that's why the goblins can sneak into the apartment building through the basement. They realized that all the apartment entrances were connected to the basement. So, because of that, they didn't want to leave. But as far as Kim remembers, there are several side entrances. And the plan these guys had was to use one of those side entrances to get out. But right in the middle of all those goblins, there was a monster way more dangerous than the rest. Well, Kim had no idea that monster even existed. The guy goes on saying that the monster looked kind of like a bear, or maybe a wolf. And they even tried to fight that beast. And the only reason they managed to get out of there was because that monster was busy fighting the goblins. That monster, even though it was super strong, didn't seem all that smart because it attacked anything that moved. Whether it was goblins or humans, didn't matter. Whoa, a wolf or a bear? Unfortunately, they can't really say for sure. The place was way too dark. Yeah, sooner or later, they're gonna have to face that beast. But as humans, they still have their own limits, or at least they did. After all, who's there to help them out with their system? But that's not what they're talking about right now. They're using bows and balls, and if they keep attacking and throwing stuff non-stop, maybe those things will just disappear. Ah, but that's a super easy problem for him to solve. He asks to take a look at the bow and also the baseball. They hand them over, and all he's gonna do is list those items in the system. Alright, first up is the baseball. And right after that, it's the bow's turn. Unlike the ball, for the bow, he's gonna have to cough up 15,300 to list a compound bow in good condition. Even though it's super pricey, listing this item is gonna be really handy. So he goes ahead and clicks yes. He asks if everyone there can use a bow, and then decides to buy 5 sets of compound bows and arrows. Even if some of them can't really handle a bow and arrow yet, they should totally take this chance to practice and get better from now on. Everyone's got to use these weapons. The confidence of his brand new citizens shot up big time 19, 17, and 30. And honestly, that just seems completely unbelievable to him. Everyone there starts thinking that, hey, if they work with him, maybe they could even save that other guy's grandma. Now for real, their confidence with the Byung has skyrocketed at lightning speed. Hunting is going to be way faster now. Everybody loved it, except for the basketball guy. Someone else even said that if this guy can pull that off, they don't need to risk themselves to go fetch the arrows anymore. But there's one thing. Before they get started, though, they've got to seriously cut down the number of goblins in that area. So, all they've got to do is start hunting those monsters for now at least. Today they're taking a break, and tomorrow, the hunt begins. After all, the faster, the better. That way, they'll definitely be able to save Byongo's grandma tomorrow. Those are the words Byongo wished he'd heard weeks ago. But the baseball guy still has no clue how they're actually going to pull this off. But Kim jumps in and says they're going to use a killer battle strategy. Strategy? What kind of strategy is he even talking about? Well, maybe it could work if they team up and if they get a little lucky too. Finally, the system announced that Joey had completed his mission and scored 3,001. It's only now that he realized after handing out missions, you actually have to spend money too. Basically, if he's got cash, he can level up his citizens. But hey, even though that's a super important feature, for now, he should probably save it for later. The system keeps popping up notifications that his trust with Shui has gone up, hitting 50 points. And now, loyalty has been unlocked. He's finally met all the requirements to become a vassal. Now that guy's got 51 trust and 62 loyalty. Should he give him a quest or just kick him out? Should this Shui Ryugun be his very first vassal? While Kim's deep in thought back there, Shui starts to notice something weird happening to him. He's feeling all kinds of strange. It's like something's flowing into his body, making him just a bit stronger. What the heck is happening to this guy? Well, Kim just registered his very first vassal. And as a reward, he's unlocked the vassal summoning skill. Now he can summon a vassal right to his house. But there's a catch: he can only summon this vassal again 2 hours after the first time. Shui just scored the title of First Servant, and with it, he awakened a brand new skill, Gorilla Strength. It's a passive skill, so that means this guy's got strength on par with a gorilla, but wait, there's more. Any experience and gold the vassal earns through the house will be doubled, and with Supreme Eyes, you can summon your vassal up to 5 meters from your house. But then, a button popped up asking if he wanted to spend 1 million yen to level up his vassal. Judging by his face, he thought 1 million was way too expensive just to level up a vassal. People notice Kim's shocked expression, but he brushes it off, saying it's nothing. But Shui pipes up, saying his strength is overflowing. He totally knows Kim did something to his body. He feels like he just got 10 years younger, but compared to gorilla strength, you could say he's got the power of 20 men now. Kim asks SHO to join him on that mission. He also mentions that while citizens get a 10% bonus on experience points, vassals earn double experience, so their gains are going to be absolutely astronomical. All he's got to do is take down as many monsters as he possibly can. The guy, even though he's scared out of his mind, agrees. So everything's set. Kim is counting on him. Then, a little while later, everyone's gathered on the first floor. The place is totally trashed, and maybe they should be hunting somewhere else. But Jaemin was crystal clear about what he said. And now, they're there as a rescue team. This is the very first mission handed out by Kim and Jaemin: rescue all the survivors in the building and get them up to the 30th floor. They start brainstorming about the mission's key point, luring a whole bunch of goblins and then wiping them out. But before they can do that, they need to find as many survivors as possible. So apparently they've got a plan brewing in their heads. The guy keeps flashing that wicked grin. Now they decide to kick things off with Unit 101. The guy tells everyone to stay sharp because you never know where those goblins might pop out from. So they started with 101 and moved on to 102. And just like that, their goblin hunt was in full swing. And as for rescuing survivors, well, during those rescues, they inevitably stumbled upon some seriously creepy stuff. There were tons of apartments, all trashed and with bodies scattered all over the floor, a total shock for everyone there. Unfortunately, there's nothing they can do for those folks. After all, they've been dead for a long time. Still, that feeling of helplessness hits hard. They've already searched everywhere around there, and all they found was broken stuff. Shattered glass everywhere, blood all over the place, and bodies. Not a single survivor. There's nothing on the first floor except for the awful stench and dead bodies. So, since they've checked everything on the first floor, now it's time to head up to the second. They started climbing the stairs, and right there in the hallway on the second floor, they found even more bodies. Even though they saw a lot on the first floor, that doesn't mean they're used to the sight. Just like on the first floor, on the second, they didn't find any monsters or any survivors. Now let's head up to the third floor. So, up the stairs they went again. Unlike the first and second floors, this hallway is way cleaner. So, they start knocking on the first apartment door, asking if anyone's inside. The group of young people split up into pairs so they could knock on the doors faster, asking if anyone was in there. And after a bunch of tries, they regrouped again, no luck. Not a single one, no survivors at all. Well, all they can do is keep climbing up. Now, up to the fourth floor. They keep knocking and shouting, asking if anyone's in there. And they're the rescue team after all. Whoa, one of the doors just opened. Really slowly. And a guy inside was asking if they were really the rescue team. And the guy said yes. They were the rescue team, and he could trust them. The guy just asks if they have any water, because he's super thirsty. Naturally, a rescue team would totally have water, right? So the guy grabs a bottle from his bag and hands it through the door to the other guy. That resident is still pretty suspicious, though. Is this really, truly a rescue team giving him this? Now the guy decides to come clean. They're actually residents of that apartment building, and they're here to rescue survivors. Upstairs, there's a place that's way safer. That guy only knew his own apartment as a safe spot, so he's totally shocked to find out there's somewhere even safer. With water and food, no less, so he slams the door and then opens it again. Maybe he took off the chains that were locking the door shut. Once he swings that door all the way open, we see there are actually 2 more people inside, and he keeps apologizing for being so paranoid. His name is Young-soo. So they shake hands, and the girl asks the other girl to take them up to the 30th floor and then come back. The guy just opened the door. That doesn't mean they trust this group yet. He's not about to leave his apartment just like that. No way. Suddenly, his son bursts out, saying he told his dad he was going to stay alive. These people came to get them. Maybe there's even a helicopter waiting on the roof. Poor guy. He's clearly watched way too many apocalypse movies. The girl starts sweating and says that if they go upstairs, they can take a hot shower and have a really nice meal. Wow, the mention of a hot shower and a delicious meal totally lured one girl in, and the other one keeps saying yes, yes. She's all about that hot shower and maybe even some internet access. If they really have all that, she bolts outside, telling her dad to stop stalling and hurry up. But their dad is still super suspicious. The system pops up a notification. He's now got 40 citizens. And just like that, he keeps going, racking up more and more citizens. And the experience? The gold they're earning has shot up by an incredible amount. 90%. Little by little, he's building his own army. It's more likely that the kids and the elderly would stay at Shua's house. And there are also other people who can live in the hallways. A guy shows up saying they've found a total of 40 people. And they're all right there. They managed to check all the way up to the 29th floor. Looks like a lot of people there haven't left their homes since the start of the, apocalypse. But he knows Shua's house is already almost packed to the brim. Still, that's already good enough. He starts activating his ultimate eyes. Now, nothing can escape his gaze, whether it's at home, on the stairs, or in the hallways. Every corner of that place is under the ruler's watchful eye. But when he uses those eyes, he gets this super weird look on his face, and people start asking if he's okay. Now they're moving on to the second stage, which is goblin hunting. In the hallway, everyone's already gathered, calling for everyone's attention. The guy kicks off the meeting by announcing that the hunt is about to begin. Their goal is to take out as many goblins as possible, since they're all hiding out underground. And the first place they're heading to is Block 1. Here's the plan. They're going to split into 2 teams and hunt down every goblin in Block 1. After that, they'll wipe out the rest in Block 2. But what if there's a huge swarm of goblins? What are they going to do? After all, they could end up trapped and cut off on the first floor. And what if that happens while they're hauling goblin bodies around? The girl tells everyone not to worry because she'll personally make sure every last one of them gets taken out. Unlike last time, they've got loads of arrows and plenty of compound bows. So everything's going to be just fine. Yeah, looks like everyone's feeling pretty confident right there. At least until they hear the first monster scream. Then, the hunt begins. But honestly, we still don't know who's going to be the prey and who's going to be the fact is the hunter. The girl draws her compound bow and lets the first arrow fly. Her aim is razor sharp. She takes out 2 goblins at once, leaving just one standing. And that last one, he doesn't even have time to react. He gets whacked right on the head with that baseball bat. In less than 5 seconds, they've already taken down 3. The other guy can't figure out why this dude even brought a bow, since he's just using the bat. Suddenly, the girl tells them to look. The goblin bodies are disappearing, which means they can't collect anything. Could this be another one of Kim Jae-min's abilities? Well, they have no idea, but all they know is that they need to keep going down. Block 1 is just the same. Your guy is just there. All he can think about is saving his grandma. He just knew he'd find a way to fix this mess. And his trust in these 3 folks just keeps growing. Meanwhile, back in the comfort of his apartment, he's sipping some water and checking out the system. Oh, what wonderful news. Even though he has absolutely no intention of doing that, it's like he's some kind of god or ruler, looking after those people. Now, Man Byung's confidence is through the roof, and loyalty mode has been unlocked. Man has racked up over 30 points, and she's also met all the requirements to be classified as a vassal. Even he was a bit freaked out by that. That took just a little over a few hours. So basically, the more vassals he's got, the faster he'll level up. Level 10 and loyalty at 88. Those numbers are insanely high. Not that it's a bad thing, and with that, he's about to register his second vassal a bit farther away. Over in Block 1, the battle rages on between the goblins and the humans, and the goblins are seriously getting their butts kicked. Suddenly, Manbong feels his whole body crackling and surging with some weird energy. It's like some kind of power is flooding into his body. He starts glowing, and everyone around him is like, what the heck is happening to this guy? Even the goblins start getting blinded by that light, and it just keeps getting brighter, totally blinding everyone in the room. Now that all those goblins are stumbling around blind, the guy shouts that it's the perfect time for them to attack. Even though they have no clue what's going on, they just start sprinting as fast as they can. Some of them hang back, while others start firing away with their compound bows. Their aim is absolutely flawless. They go for headshots, one arrow for every enemy. The girl's getting really good at this. She manages to take down 3 super fast, but those goblins just won't give up. They trample right over the bodies of their fallen buddies like it's nothing, just trying to get a little closer. Even though these humans are super strong and totally armed to the teeth, the number of goblins just keeps going up. And they just can't hold out for much longer, so they keep on running. Honestly, they never expected to attract this many. Looks like all the goblins from Block 1 and Block 2 are here for the party. The only thing they can do now is run as fast as they can to the emergency exit, and there it is. They barely made it in time. Everyone rushes through that door, and the guy manages to close it, but there's still a goblin trying to squeeze through, so everyone piles on to hold the door shut. Now it's a full-on shoving match, goblins pushing from one side, humans pushing from the other. They're using every last ounce of strength they've got, but it's just not enough to keep that door closed. If they let the goblins in, those little monsters are heading straight for the first floor. Shui tells everyone to hang in there and starts tapping into his gorilla passive power. Even though he doesn't really get how this power works, he just knows deep down that he's got some serious superhuman strength now. That door, which needed 4 people to hold before, is now being held shut by Shui with just one hand. And while he's holding the door all by himself, he shouts for everyone to hurry up and get upstairs. The monsters just keep piling up outside. And that door, it's getting heavier and heavier by the second. Now, he's got to use both hands to keep it shut. Even though this guy's crazy strong right now, it's starting to look like he might not be able to hold out. But he's fired up, determined to stop every single one of those monsters. No matter what happens, he's got to pull this off. The guy upstairs yells down that Mr. Shui can get out now. After all, everyone's safe at this point. This is the perfect moment for him to make his escape. So he lets go of the door and bolts up the stairs, but out of nowhere, his passive skill kicks in, and guess what? It's the clumsy one. He wipes out again just as the goblins bust through the door, and while he's scrambling to get up, one of the goblins lunges at him. He yells for everyone to go on without him, fast, and to shut that door behind them. But the guy just starts roasting him, totally chill, saying there's no way that's gonna happen, while the other dude just zooms right past him. And he lands a solid blow right on the goblin's head, then reaches out his hand to Lord Shui to pull him to safety. But just as he does, one of the goblins grabs Lord Shui's ligand. Suddenly, Shui just vanishes. Not even the goblins, and not even that guy could figure out what just happened. How did Shui just disappear into thin air like that? Seriously, the dude just poofed. Now the goblins have a brand new target. One of the goblins takes a massive leap straight at the other guy, but bam, he gets nailed right in the chest with an arrow. Turns out that guy's not alone. He's got 3 buddies covering his back, yelling at him to hurry up and get back. He starts sprinting, with goblins still dropping in hot pursuit behind him. He keeps racing up the stairs, and his crew just keeps firing arrows at the goblins. Things are getting seriously intense, and it looks like they're running out of time. There are so many goblins you couldn't even count them all. In a corridor that cramped under the moonlight, in an apocalypse, screams are echoing all over the city. And just a little ways off, that bear is chowing down on a goblin. While it's still alive, it's like the only thing running through that monster's mind is the urge to kill as it chews on that goblin's flesh. All you can see in its eyes is a thirst for blood and a craving for even more death. It keeps tearing into the flesh, getting hungrier and more savage with every bite. Then, it hears a noise coming from that building, and when it looks over, something grabs its attention. The top floor, a bright, warm light shining out. Oh boy, looks like everyone's up there, and it's ready to wipe them all out. Meanwhile, back in the governor's apartment, Shui shows up. Whoa, he almost bit the dust right there. That was a close call. Like I said before, this guy seriously needs a new pair of glasses. He squints and finally sees it. There he is, Kim and Jaimin. Kim's been keeping an eye on everything with his ultimate vision, just in case something like this went down. He managed to save Shui by using his vassal summon ability, but Shui didn't get away unscathed. That goblin still managed to tear up his leg a bit. But Shui was so pumped up on adrenaline, he didn't even notice the blood pouring out, and he insists he's fine. It's just a scratch, something he can bounce back from in no time. Kim Jaimin realizes he still hasn't added any medicine to his supply list. He opens the door and tells the guy to wait right there. Maybe he'll find something to help him out. So he starts searching. In his supply box, there's a first aid kit that belonged to his mom. Whenever something happened, she always had the fix right there in that box. Inside, there are all sorts of medicines, tons of potions, bandages, scalpel, scissors, everything you could possibly need, even a thermometer. Unfortunately, he only has 40 slots to list things. That means he won't be able to list everything. Well, if it were me, I'd just list things based on how useful they are. Skill, using and listing. He remembered the first aid kit that was at the back of the drawer, and that's the first item he decides to list for 77,330. Choi can't believe that guy even has a first aid kit. All he needs to do is put it on the wound. The guy shows the wound, still saying that he'll be fine. The first step is to start disinfecting with cotton and alcohol. Choi is okay, but not as much as he said, and his trust and loyalty keep increasing. While Kim is giving first aid, Choi keeps thanking him, but the only thing on Kim's mind is whether the others are okay. He asks Choi to rest there for a bit, because he has more things to take care of. Now all he has to do is take a look at the lower floors, so he activates the Supreme Eyes again, observing Block 1 and Block 2. Things there aren't as calm as they should be. The fight goes on, and that girl keeps shooting arrows, hitting several goblins, while the other guy keeps running. The guys tell him to move faster, while he's giving it his all running up the stairs. If it weren't for those guys in the rear using their bows, this guy would already be dead. After all, he hasn't become a vassal yet. Now there's just a little bit left, but the goblins jump after him, and our second vassal, Moon, arrives to help. Using the compound bow, he lands a blow that hits 2 of them, sending those goblins flying. The guy is going wild, blood in his eyes. He jumps in front of the goblins and starts taking out several of them. It's 1 blow for each goblin. The others can't understand how Byung is so good at fighting. It wasn't always like this. While Kim watches everything from above, it seems like their group is doing really well. Moonbyung has his awakened ability, and he can also use teleportation on himself. And the greater the distance, the more mental strength it takes. Yeah, it really was a great decision to make this guy your second vassal. The goblins keep falling like dry leaves. While the guy fights the goblins, they set up a trap with an extension socket and also a water tank. Byung keeps running and jumps over the barrier of objects. He goes inside the house and the guys throw that water tank. The water soaks all the goblins, from the first to the last. The guy shouts for John to throw it now. Roger then presses the power button and the electricity comes quickly, running through the water along with the wires, electrocuting all the goblins that were there. And notifications start coming in like raindrops, saying he had killed several types of goblins, level 6, 7, 8, and also earned a total of 334,000 ons, and his skill level had increased. Wow, that's really good. They managed to kill a lot at once. And now it seems like his domain is starting to expand, getting bigger and bigger. Is it just me, or is it reaching the basement now? His domain expansion now covers such a large area that it detects hostile beings and triggers immediate removal. The bodies of those goblins start to bubble up and swell. As they begin to scream, they all explode, and with the help of this new ability, he managed to kill 7 more goblins, gaining even more experience. Most of those goblins were killed by Kim Jae-min's ability, but there are still many left, and they're running away. But suddenly, one of them notices that there's a very large creature behind them and turns around to see what it is. And there it is, the creature, enormous. That giant bear opens its mouth full of teeth and sinks them into the goblin's shoulder, and all the goblin can do is scream. The other goblins are terrified as they watch that scene, but you know that all that bear monster wants is to devour as much flesh as possible. So it goes after the others, now using its claws to tear apart the flesh of those goblins. It continues in a frenzy, ripping through everything in its path, sinking its claws into some and its teeth into others. It seems there is nothing those goblins can do except die. The strength of that monster is immense, and it can even tear some of them in 2. Even though there are many goblins, there is nothing that can be done. As I said before, all they can do is scream. While the bear tears several apart and splits others, a group of goblins cornered at the back realizes there is no way out. They will have to fight. One of the goblins jumps onto the monster and starts devouring it alive, while others try to bite that tough bear hide. Even though that bear is strong and big, the goblins are numerous and they begin to pile onto the monster. There are 3 goblins just on its head. Now it's the bear itself that's screaming, activating its berserker mode. He manages to tear all those goblins apart extremely quickly. But after that fight is over, the bear is left completely confused about what just happened. And up above, a system window appears. Congratulations, you have just received your citizenship. Oh my goodness. Did he just make that big bear his citizen? That beast starts to writhe all over and its size begins to shrink. Amidst that tough, thick hide, soft, fair skin starts to appear. No one saw that coming. Could that monster actually be a female shapeshifter? After the transformation ends, she falls face first to the ground, surrounded by several goblin bodies in the basement. Kim Jae-min was watching everything from his apartment. As he watched that woman on the ground, he wondered, who is this girl? Even though he doesn't know her, she will be an essential piece in building his army. Well, the system showed that her name is Oh Yeonju, and she has the ability to awaken the Bear Man. That ability transforms the user into a beast, and all physical and regenerative abilities are maximized. Wow, even this guy was amazed. And she's at level 33 and even has an AE rank ability. Besides that, her trust with Hadong reached 50 points, and also with Yu Il, 50 points. That way, the loyalty of both was unlocked. He himself couldn't believe that these two would reach such a level of trust in such a short time. And even Kang surpassed 30 points, thus meeting all the requirements to be registered as a vassal. Yeah, that was all he wanted to hear or see. So he began to register Kang as his newest vassal. Now he has reached level 25 and is his 3rd servant. Trust 52, loyalty 31. And the awakened ability, Iron Knight. A user can summon a halberd and a suit of iron armor that covers their entire body. Its rank is B. This ability is going to be quite interesting. Does that mean the ability depends on the vassal's level? Choi unlocked the gorilla's strength and is at level 20 with a C rank. Kang has the Iron Knight ability, B rank. He was at level 25. And lastly, Mon. This guy has a teleportation ability and was at level 30. It seems that from the moment they were registered as vassals, their levels were determined based on the rank of their special abilities, classified as A, B, or C. Or maybe the abilities are chosen randomly. If Mon were to receive an ability ranked according to his value and loyalty, it would be A and C. So Choi, who has higher loyalty, should have gotten a rank B ability, not a rank C one, since Kang received a rank B ability with a loyalty value of 31, which is quite low. He keeps trying to figure out the factors that contribute to the appearance of higher ranked abilities. This guy is starting to look like me, always trying to figure out what kind of works you all like. Yeah, it seems like that information is pretty critical. After all, he can only register 10 vassals, and if he knew what kind of abilities they would get, he would only register the high-ranking ones. Yeah, he doesn't know what might happen if he registers a metahuman as his vassal. Maybe a problem could arise, right? But he already did that, and now the metahuman is able to move freely between stairs, elevators, and hallways. So he gets a little closer to the elevator and decides to use his supreme eyes. The girl is still unconscious on the 30th floor, and he remembers Mr. Choi. That's the 13th floor, and as the doors are opening, he asks Mr. Choi to bring the girl who's in block 2 over there. Well, we're back at the scene of the electrified goblins episode. The guy realizes that the shock was so intense that one of the goblins had its head blown off. A swarm of goblins had suddenly rushed at them. It's almost as if someone was controlling these monsters. If that were true, just imagine how powerful this enemy must be. They keep going down and now notice that there are several goblins killed in a very cruel way, and he's sure there's something much worse out there. They start talking among themselves that the ruler is quite a peculiar person, but even so, he has warm water. The girls are in disbelief. Could this be part of Kim Jae-min's skill set? While they remembered that their mother used to say that the food was thanks to the ingredients Kim Jae-min had given them. The guy is convinced that this is in fact his ability. While they're rolling up all the threads, he recalls that Byung used to have a very introverted ability and suddenly turned into a monster killing machine after meeting Kim Jae-min. That guy's abilities are truly something to be feared, no doubt about it. But no matter what ability that guy has, it all leads to the same conclusion. Choi keeps going down. He quickly gets out of the elevator, thinking about that damn world. The only thing they can do is be chosen by them. That way, they can greatly increase their chances of survival. While he still has his supreme eyes active, watching everything in order to survive, he must do everything within his power, and even things beyond it. Now we are transported to a dream, or perhaps a flashback of what happened. A boy is playing with his toy in the park of an apartment complex, being watched by his mother. The boy was very happy. It seems he had gotten a new toy. The two of them had a normal and very happy life. The boy loved playing outside, but then suddenly everything changed. What was supposed to be just a simple playtime outside turned into something she could never have imagined. While the boy waved to his mother, several monsters appeared behind him, and she, unable to believe what was happening, ran to try to grab him and save him from those goblins. But unfortunately, it seems she was not successful. It was already too late. All she could do was watch her son being taken away by those monsters. She screamed, "No!" as she ran. But there in that park, all that was left was a toy, completely crushed, broken, and stained. Then suddenly she wakes up, screaming. Ah, so Miss Yeonju has woken up. Kim observes the way this woman woke up and says nothing. She sits up in bed and puts her hand on her head, still completely pale. Kim greets her and says that he is Kim Jae-min. She asks if he was the one who did this to her, but he doesn't know what she's talking about. She keeps insisting, asking if he was the one who blew up those goblins' heads. It seems like a handshake isn't going to happen. Not now. He says that she's right. Yes, it was him. So that means this guy has such a powerful ability? Incredible. This guy can even defeat a group of goblins in an instant. Maybe this guy can help her. She clenches her fists, deep in thought, and suddenly starts trembling all over, still very pensive and silent. Could it really be possible? Then she starts talking about her son, crying a lot. She begs Kim Jae-min to save her son, even if it's just for one day, and starts to cry. Crying, sneezing, sobbing. Just for one day, please, help her save her son. And the system issues several notifications that her trust has increased significantly. All that woman wants is to have her son back. Nothing else. Kim starts to understand the situation. That woman must have lost her son. Well, her crying starts to intensify more and more, and she seems to be losing control. Kim watches that girl while wondering if there is really anything he can do. Then his system activates again. Does he want to assign her a mission to kill 1,000 goblins with no time limit and no penalty? And maybe with the reward, her son. Revival. Wow, the system is incredibly precise, huh? Is it really possible to do that? But unfortunately, that mission can't be assigned. He keeps trying, but without success. Even though there's a glimmer of hope in his mind, he thinks there's no way for the dead to come back to life. But how interesting, it's just not possible right now because he doesn't have enough money. When he gets more funds, he'd better come back and try again. Wow, that was a shock for whom? And that means it might actually be possible. Now he understands that he can bring someone back to life as long as he has enough money. He still hasn't told her, and she keeps crying. He calls out to the lady and says that maybe he can do something to help her, but he still doesn't know exactly what the cost will be. When she hears that bringing her son back to life might be possible, she stops crying immediately. That means there's still hope. Even though she just heard those words, she doesn't believe this guy is actually being serious. Can he really revive his son? He says yes, but maybe it can't be done right now. And the chance of it actually being possible is about 80 to 90%. She starts screaming that she'll do whatever it takes to bring him back. We know that there are two people who awakened their abilities in Hadong and Kang Daeok's group and Moon Byung. One was level 30, another 25, and another at level 33. And they should have a much easier time facing most of the monsters. And the best thing to do is to make everyone, the 7 of them and her vassals. Well then, the first thing she has to do is stand up, because he's going to introduce the whole group to her. So that's how the introductions begin. The guy introduces himself as Dong. It seems she really has seen this guy hunting goblins with a baseball. And the other one is the woman who uses a bow. Huh, it seems she already knows this group. No one there recognized her, so she starts to imitate a growl and bares her fangs. Are they starting to remember what it was? But then all that comes to that guy's mind is just that bear. But it's not just him. The other two think the same thing. Then she starts to transform. All her fair skin begins to turn black. Fur starts to grow all over, and her feet double in size. Her face starts to turn into a snout. The girl with the bow starts screaming, and there it is. That huge bear right in front of them. Now everything makes sense. That woman is the bear that was killing all the goblins. She starts saying that she helped this group several times. They just didn't notice. Wow, that woman was huge. The guy approaches and says that their meeting wasn't just a coincidence, huh? Meanwhile, she says that the enemies of goblins are her friends, and the one who was happiest that everyone already knew each other is Kim Jae-min. Well, now that all the brief introductions are over, he has something to say. Now the plan to rescue Byung's grandmother will begin tomorrow morning. Since the number of goblins has now been drastically reduced, they should be able to save her without a doubt. Unfortunately, Mr. Choi won't be participating because he's bedridden, so Miss Bear will be taking his place. That's all for now. Tomorrow morning, he'll explain the rest. Everyone is pretty anxious to see what this guy's plan is. Moon Byung and Kang. He has something to discuss with these two in the hallway. Byung and Deok-sun. Do these two know why he called only the two of them there? But judging by their faces, they don't know anything. All they know is that it might be related to the power they have. Yeah, it looks like they made the right assumption. This time, both of them awakened. The ability that Byung gained was teleportation, and Deok's ability was Iron Knight. They need to learn everything about the abilities they possess before going on the mission tomorrow. And to start, they're going to do a group mission, demonstrate their awakened abilities with a 1-hour time limit. Reward, increased strength, and the penalty, sleeping outdoors. The system asks if he really wants to give that group mission. He stops and thinks for a moment and decides, yes, he will give it. Yeah, that's all for now. So, you mean he's just like Dong now? The guy keeps wondering what kind of ability this Iron Knight is, but we know he's able to summon a suit of iron armor and a halberd. And suddenly he notices that his partner has disappeared from there. Wow, he has a really overpowered ability where he can disappear in an instant and then suddenly reappear. It worked! His ability is really working, so with this power he can actually save his grandmother, no doubt about it. The system keeps sending out several notifications. His loyalty with these two increased drastically. The guy thanks Kim Jae-min, but there's still something he wants this guy to do. Unfortunately, it might be very difficult to go to his grandmother's house at this moment. After all, there's no guarantee that he can control that ability yet. And maybe the teleport he just used was just a matter of luck. So the best thing to do is to first try to fully understand his ability, how far he can teleport, and also what kind of penalty he might receive for using this ability. Yeah, it seems like that's the best decision to make before leaving. Then something there starts to shine, and they notice there's a huge axe behind them and a knight in armor. So this is that guy's power? Ah, nice work. The guy's wearing some really cool armor. His confidence kept growing. The guy thought his weapon was really cool. Kim asks Byung to try teleporting to the other building next door. He pauses for a moment and thinks, can I really do it? Well, maybe he should give it a try. But before that, he decides to turn it all into a mission. And the time limit is 3 minutes. The reward, proficiency in teleportation. So he starts channeling all his power, while the other guy says, this could be dangerous, and he begins to activate the teleport. Then he disappears from there. Suddenly he appears and goes to the window and sees that he's on the other side, in the other building. Ah, he did it. In fact, he really did it. This opens up new possibilities. Congratulations, Moonbyung, you completed your mission. Whew, just imagine if he had only managed to teleport halfway. He would have fallen down there. The guy keeps waving and smiling, and suddenly we see that he falls, out of nowhere. Seeing this, the two of them are confused about what's happening and decide to act quickly. Kim activates his vassal summoning and calls Moonbyung, so he appears on the ground unconscious and they put him to bed to rest for a while. This guy lost consciousness just from using teleportation, which means it consumes a lot of energy. Fortunately, I think he'll be fine. He just needs to rest. Maybe this happened because he's not used to this new ability yet. Yeah, that's a relief. But putting that aside, now it's his turn to try to understand his own powers as well. His mission will be an exercise using armor. He has to complete 100 push-ups and 100 squats. A time limit of 10 minutes. The reward, increased strength. So off he goes, starting with the push-ups first. The weight increased drastically, but he's managing, even though it's really hard. Now it's time for the squats. The weight is so heavy that his legs start to shake, but that's not all. That armor is extremely hot and sweat builds up inside it. And finally, he managed to finish his last exercise. Congratulations, Kang completed his mission. Yeah, it seems like this guy has extraordinary endurance. Maybe it's because he's got an affinity for sports. Kang starts checking his system and a notification for an evaluation pops up. That kind of notification had never appeared before. While the guy is resting, he keeps looking at the system. Well, that's all for today. Now that guy can rest. As the guy leaves, the system says the evaluation is complete and his strength has increased a little. That's pretty interesting. While his vassals managed to get stronger, he, as their ruler, also increased his own strength. But how is that possible? He just gave orders to those vassals, and his own strength increased. How does that work? But he can't be upset about this notification. He just smiles. After all, this changes the whole game. The next day, in one of Busan's alleys, all they're doing is running. The four of them are in complete trouble because there are a lot of goblins chasing after them. Every time this guy looks back, he gets even more of a boost when he sees the size of the group of goblins behind them. Oh, but the goblins aren't about to let them get away, not at all. So the vassal activates his armor, along with his axe. All he wants to do is send these goblins to their graves. So he begins the massacre. The axe just touched and sliced. Every time he swings that huge halberd, he manages to kill several monsters at once. But the goblins aren't afraid of this guy. They're charging in with everything they've got. and others, knowing this guy is really strong and wears armor, just slip past him like it's nothing, going after his companions. But they don't stand a chance of even getting close, since one of them still has a bow and shoots 3 times, sending all 3 of them to their graves as well. Wow, that guy's archery skills are also at their peak. The guy starts shouting, telling him to pay attention to the fight, that he'll take down any goblins who get past him. Well, then that's settled. Now those damned goblins have stopped running. When they realized they didn't stand a chance of winning, they started to run. But unfortunately, the goblins' escape route is blocked. The bear woman is about to give the remaining goblin troop a little affection. Those wicked goblins who just moments ago were letting out brave roars are now squealing in high-pitched voices amid arrows and axe blows. The goblins are getting the worst of it. They can't even run away anymore. The bear cuts through them as if they were nothing. Suddenly, the guy shouts Byung's name and tells him to activate it now. Now is the key moment for him to reach his grandmother. So he activates the teleport while everyone covers him. Yes, Young managed to complete his mission. The system starts calculating the rewards while the ruler watches everything with his supreme eyes, still enjoying a nice bowl of noodles. He managed to earn a total of 132,000, but it seems this reward is completely different from the previous ones. When Daeok completed his mission, he gained strength. Could this mean that the additional reward is random? So maybe that reward could have been bigger, right? Well, he doesn't know. Byung has now managed to complete his mission, but he's used up all his mission attempts for today. And what will his reward be now? Well, it's time to see the rewards. A checkpoint has been obtained. Congratulations. Wow, a checkpoint? What does that mean? The skill points show up there as well. And now he has one available. Yeah, that's not bad at all. The teleport guy keeps moving forward, but he already seems to be getting exhausted. And there it is, his grandmother's house. He opens the door, but first, in a monster apocalypse, he still has to mind his manners. He takes off his shoes and starts running, entering his grandmother's house. He goes into the bedroom shouting, "Grandma!" and notices that nothing has changed. She's lying in bed, still sick. He gets closer, grabs her shoulder to check how she's doing. Thank goodness. It looks like she's still okay, or almost. It seems like she can't see very well and asks if it's really Byung. He can't hold it in and starts crying right away. Finally, he managed to find his grandmother and gives her a big hug, his arm around her, completely relieved. Poor thing. He even apologizes for taking too long to arrive, while thinking that all of this is thanks to Jaemin. The system notifies that man's trust has increased significantly, and now, the number of vassals that can be registered has gone up. One surprise after another, huh? Before it was 10 vassals, and now 11 can be registered. So that means leveling up can also be done this way. Very interesting. But how much does it cost to level up Byung? After he clicked, the system said he didn't have enough money to level this guy up, and it takes 100 million to level up that vassal. Hey, hold on a second. Things are getting really expensive. Yeah, unfortunately he tried, but all he can do now is give this guy daily missions. Out of nowhere, he hears a noise, and it seems like someone is coming up in the elevator. Who could it be? So he activates his supreme eyes and sees 2 people there. A really strong guy, still holding a box, and he knocks on the door, asking if anyone is inside. The mother opens the door, asking who they are. The girl is Kim Dobin, and that's her younger brother, Kim Min-ho. They are the people who live in apartment 1701. The mother quickly asks what they're doing there, but she only left her apartment because she needs help. That girl isn't really used to asking for help, and she knows that in an apocalypse, maybe she's being a bit shameless. She asks the girl if she can take a shower, if that's possible. The mother expected everything, asking for rice, food, water, but a bath, a shower. Even I didn't expect her to ask for a shower. A shower? Yeah, just a shower. Oh, that's easy. She tells them to come in and says they can take a shower, but the guy is still holding that box and asks where he can put it. They didn't come there empty-handed. They brought some canned goods and a few random items for them to eat. Maybe this is payment for the shower. There's fish, tuna, canned meat, sausage, peas, corn, and all sorts of other preserved foods. Yeah, it seems like they didn't need to bring so much food just to trade for a shower. The girl just said she felt bad. After all, she had entered a stranger's house to make a strange request. Then, out of nowhere, she notices that they have a lot of weapons there. She asks if that bow and that baseball belong to the owner of that apartment. The mother said the situation is a bit complicated, but they do belong to a resident of that apartment. While Kim Jae-min observes everything with his supreme eyes, it seems that those people are not bad people. Maybe later he'll go meet these visitors and ask them if they want to help rescue the survivors in other buildings. Suddenly, a notification pops up that he hunted a red tiger and gained a large amount of experience, and a total of 39,001 was deposited into his digital wallet, and he even leveled up and acquired a brand new skill as well. Wow, what could be happening? After he activates his supreme vision, he notices the danger. Everyone outside is exhausted. It looks like they took part in a battle in a coliseum. The dead tiger on one side and the bear woman lying on the other. He barely managed to recruit that bear woman. And has she already been killed? What is going on? Then, an immense pain begins to eat away at his body. The pain keeps increasing, and the system notifies him that he has discovered several people who can receive citizenship. Will he offer citizenship to these people? The system keeps asking yes or no. So he granted citizenship to everyone. And now he has a total of 50 citizens, and the experience and money they earn has increased to 100%, and when he reaches a certain number of citizens, he will unlock a new ability, the power of trust. But we know there are still people seriously injured there. Man Byung picks up his grandmother and runs to get her out of that hell, while everyone in the group also starts running. The bear girl is still alive, being carried by the knight. This doesn't look good at all. Of all the people who could have been seriously injured, it had to be Young. They keep running. Out of nowhere, several goblins appear, but they are quickly stopped by arrows. The girl managed to kill 2 goblins with just a single shot. She also couldn't understand what had just happened there. Her body seems to be extremely light. That guy's body too, and he doesn't feel out of breath at all, even while running. Well, the power of confidence is a passive skill that increases all stats by a percentage equal to the confidence value. It's like a kind of bonus. Hadong has a total of 50 confidence, and the others have even more. That means all of their stats, endurance, strength, reflexes, and so on will increase by about 50%. The guy smiles and says that maybe it's Kim Jaemin's power, and his loyalty shot up by 30 points. And now Kim has met all the requirements to be registered as a vassal. And O'Haring has also met the requirements. He tells the system to register both of them as vassals. Well, if they already thought they were strong, now they're even stronger. The boy became the 4th servant, awakening the piercing ability, and the girl earned the title of 5th servant, awakening the poisonous mist ability. As they feel that power entering their bodies, they realize the goblins are still chasing them. But unlike before, they're not going to run. The woman gets ready to use her ability. She fires an arrow, which hits one of the goblins squarely in the head. But unlike the last times, this arrow now has the power to be guided. So with a single arrow shot, she manages to pierce through 4 goblins in a row. If she wasn't believing what was happening before, now she's even more unsettled. That piercing ability of rank C consumes mental strength to fire a penetrating arrow. Is it time for him to give her a quest? Well, that's exactly what he does. He assigns her the quest to hunt 10 goblins, and the time limit? 10 minutes. The reward? Piercing proficiency. What about the failure? Fatigue. That ability is a bit more complicated, but still quite powerful. The poisonous mist of rank B, which consumes mental strength to create a deadly poisonous mist. Although this ability is a good one, it's a level B poison neutron skill. If used incorrectly, it can seriously affect your own allies. It's a double-edged sword. He needs to keep this in mind and then take a look at what this ability might be capable of. Finally, Kim managed to complete her mission, and now he can't assign her any more missions that day. The system begins to calculate the rewards. After all, this time, it was a total failure. So since everyone is calm, he decides to check on the citizens on the lower floors. One of them is walking calmly down the hallway, and another is in the bathroom. That guy has good instincts, getting drinking water in advance. And it seems that these people have plenty of food there as well, which might mean they don't need to join the group. After all, they are able to get food and water on their own. Then suddenly he notices a woman lying down. Her name is Kim Da-gung, level 26, confidence 18, awakened ability, healing, rank B. That power can consume mental strength to heal injuries. Ah, that was exactly what he wanted. A beautiful healer, no doubt. Well, this story is kind of like Pokemon, but instead of collecting Pokemon, he can collect extraordinary humans. Now let's go to apartment 2902. He opens the door very slowly to see what's inside, but he sees that it's locked. And now, how is he going to open that door? But do you remember that he had acquired a skill earlier? So now let's see what it is. That's the skill, Invisible Hand of the Reclusive Ruler, level 1. Nice. Ah, the system is helping him a lot. All he has to do is focus on breaking that lock, and then that invisible hand turns into pliers. Ah, that's exactly what he needed. So now all he has to do is cut it. With the pliers, things get a lot easier. Well, now that he's cut it, he just has to go in. And he runs toward where the woman is, and she's still lying on the ground. He starts shaking her body, asking her to wake up, but man, her condition is worse than he imagined. She's extremely dehydrated. He looks around, trying to find something to help her. Wait a minute, how is that woman dehydrated with a bottle of water so close to her like that? But this guy is overthinking it. All he needs to do right now is save her. So he opens his system, thinking of a new strategy to save her. He opens the system and gives her a mission, to take 1 breath. That way, she'll earn the reward of recovering from dehydration. Yeah, in fact, it looks like it worked and she's starting to feel revitalized, and it seems like she's waking up with her vision still very blurry. The first thing she asks is, "Who are you?" He says that he's her upstairs neighbor. She asks what he's doing there, he tells her everything that happened, and suddenly, she starts crying nonstop. She tries to stop, but she can't. She just keeps crying. Maybe that's the reason she almost died of dehydration. Kim Jae-min looks at her and doesn't understand why she's crying. He starts apologizing to her, but he really needs her help. One of his teammates is seriously injured, and she stops crying and looks at him, trying to make sense of the situation. What is this guy talking about? Could she really help someone? Is that actually possible? It seems like this guy knows she's a nurse. After all, he wants her to help him treat someone. Since this guy is asking her for help, maybe he isn't someone dangerous. So she decides to go with him and see where this will lead. He opens the system and asks her to wait a minute. Now he activates a mission to heal the wounded, and the time limit is 1 hour. Reward, enhanced skill. Jaemin is praying that the woman can hold on, that help is on the way. He hands her a bottle of water and tells her to wait there, that he's going to get the injured person. Well, some random guy comes into your house, gives you water, wakes you up saying he needs help, and then leaves without saying anything else. How strange. All she can do is grab the tangerines, but she asks him to wait while she watches the system window open in front of her, wondering what that is. Jae-min will explain everything to her later. He tells her to rest after all, she's very weak. Meanwhile, he goes to get the injured person. This guy really made things complicated for her. While she wonders if she's still dreaming or if she's awake. Well, then Kim returns to his apartment and receives a new notification that Kim's trust has increased a lot. It seems that this girl didn't trust him much at first, but who would trust someone who suddenly breaks into your house? So now it should be about time. He starts watching everything down below and the situation is terrifying. There's a huge tiger chasing everyone. What is he going to do about this now? That tiger, besides running really fast, can jump incredibly far. That's a true red tiger. It looks like our heroes won't be able to outrun that animal. Damn! So that means there was another red tiger? Oh yes, there was. There really was. And they're still running from that giant monster. While they're running, the girl steps wrong, twists her ankle, and falls to the ground immediately. The two try to cover for her, but I don't think it's going to be possible, and she tries to get up. Okay, and when she realizes it, the tiger is already right in front of her. Look at the colossal size of that animal's head. All she can do is watch because there's no time left to run. So when the tiger is about to bite her, she suddenly disappears, and that was a close one. Look at the size of those fangs on that colossal animal. Look at the monster's face. He did not like his snack disappearing at all. Where she was, there's only smoke left. Wow, that was really close. And she reappears still screaming. After that, she's going to need to change her pants. Kim managed to summon her in time. If it weren't for him, she would have become a snack, but fortunately everything turned out fine. Well, only for her, because the others are still running from that colossal animal. While she can rest, they keep running, but the system keeps notifying him that he has discovered more beings who meet all the requirements to be registered as citizens. Then the teleportation boy shows up. He asks Kim to take care of his grandmother for him, but Kim asks him to wait a minute. Does this guy have a plan? Well, he looks at Kim's face and decides to wait. That tiger, despite being very large, is incredibly fast. Or maybe they need to kill that red tiger using some slightly different methods. They'd better hurry because the tiger is catching up to everyone. The guy looks back, trying to find some way to escape from that monster, so he gathers his courage, turns around, and uses all his strength to throw that baseball, pitching it with extraordinary force. Well, the ball heads toward the tiger, but unfortunately, misses the target. The tiger keeps roaring, and everyone realizes that Donghyun is very close to the tiger, and now it seems like it's too late. This guy's about to become tiger food. The tiger tries to grab him with its paw, but fails. He runs, telling everyone else to run too. And this guy is really into sports, which is why all his reflexes and senses are very sharp. He keeps running toward the building's parking lot, since running in a straight line would basically be suicide. The tiger is about to sink its teeth into this guy. He looks back and sees the size of the fangs waiting for him, and now he starts praying. Then, ropes appear that seem to be made of aura, managing to stop this monster, bringing it to a sudden halt. Its front paws are lifted off the ground, completely losing traction, and it tries to break free from those ropes but can't. The guy just stands there watching, not understanding what's going on. The girl, realizing the danger Dong is in, notices that the tiger is struggling with something unknown, but this is the perfect opportunity for a mission. Since she knows exactly what needs to be done now, all she has to do is aim and shoot. Meanwhile, Kim up above thinks that with Gahyeon hunting, he can get 4 times more items. She aims her compound bow at the animal's heart while it continues to thrash about. The life of that prehistoric animal, a hunter of humans, ends right there with just 1 arrow. They managed to hunt that level 28 red tiger, and he gained a large amount of XP and 63 million won deposited into the ruler's wallet, and the trust with those 5 citizens increased drastically. Dong has now met all the requirements to become a vassal as well. This is all incredible. Now Dong has been registered as his vassal. A little later, the healer girl continues her treatment, using her mental strength to heal all the wounds. Her healing ability is extraordinary. The wounds are healed quickly. Even though the bear girl is badly injured, she will survive. Yeah, it seems they're really lucky to have found this Kim. Kim looks at them and asks what happened with this so-called red tiger. It seems that the house where Byung's grandmother lived was in the territory of that red tiger. When they managed to kill one, it seemed like there was another, but something feels really strange. I think there's someone with powers similar to our Kim Jaemin, only on the opposite side. There were no goblins in that area, otherwise Byung's grandmother wouldn't have been safe, and they should just be glad she was in the red tiger's territory. But is that luck or just a coincidence, or was it intentional? Well, we still don't know. All we know is that Ga-hyun completed her mission, so now she managed to finish it, and it seems she did a great job. Can she go home now? Choi asks her to wait a moment. He knows that's not what was supposed to happen, but he keeps asking why they always have to gather at his place. Even though we know the reason, they don't. Just look at how many people there are. They're not used to having this many visitors, and on top of that, having to solve everything at his house. Apartment 2901 is empty. It has electricity and all the other necessities for daily life. And starting from noon the next day, everyone should live there. This was exactly what Choi wanted. He tells Dabin that Unit 2101 and Unit 2102 are also empty, and she can let the other guests know to use the showers and bathrooms there. She agrees and says she'll let everyone know. And if they want, they can even use one of the apartments and the rest can share another, but this doesn't come for free. He has a favor to ask. He wants her to become a messenger between the other survivors and himself. Well, she quickly agrees, and her first message is to tell all the teams that the team that kills 100 goblins the fastest will receive an empty house. But that's not all. The house will have water, electricity, gas, and unlimited food. And if the team accepts 10 survivors, those survivors will also enjoy the benefits mentioned. That said, he tells her to inform them that the granting of benefits may take longer depending on the floor and the housing, and from now on, only those who can prove their true worth will receive what they truly need. Yeah, now the era of free food is coming to an end. He activates the mission to hunt 10 goblins. Time limit, 168 hours. Reward, a small amount of experience. Penalty for failure, forbidden from using the shared facilities. Yeah, so sometime later, the hunt continues. But this time, it's a bit different. Now, the ones being hunted are the humans. Look at how many goblins there are. And it seems they haven't eaten humans in quite a while. Damn, the guy is giving it everything he's got to stay alive. Just a little further. He just has to run a little more to manage to escape. And it seems like he can even feel the goblin's fingers brushing against his clothes. Then he jumps into the safe zone. That was a close one. This guy really brought a lot of goblins over there. It looks like these guys set up some kind of trap. The goblins try to get in, but are caught off guard by several spears. Now it's easy with that narrow doorway full of spears, and they actually manage to take down several goblins. That barrier doesn't let any goblin in. The moment they touch it, they're repelled. While the humans are completely wiping out that group of goblins, one of them on the ground, realizing he can't handle it anymore, starts to retreat. The others, noticing this, start to do the same, but the guy is determined to kill all the goblins. He grips his spear tightly and gets ready to show these goblins something really entertaining. He gathers all his strength from the tips of his toes to the last finger on his hand and hurls that spear with full force at the goblin who was running away. The spear goes with such force that it pierces right through the goblin instantly. That was a beautiful throw, and he asks the group how many goblins they killed, and it seems the total was 22. Another one says it was 23. They killed over 100 goblins, just the 3 of them. So that means they've already done it, but the guy there was thinking it would take them forever to kill 100. The guy comes running in, shouting that everyone said there were only 10 goblins at most, and every time this guy shows up, he brings terrible news. That area doesn't seem to have just 10 goblins. Well, the result was good, wasn't it? They're about to have a new home. The guy is still really angry after all. He almost died because of him. The guy tells him to relax. After all, who came up with this hunting method, huh? And if it weren't for him, they'd still be back at square one. He's also the guy who came up with the spear plan. After all, he himself said he wasn't confident in his tactics or his running skills. If he's not satisfied, he can leave the team or be kicked out. The other team members interrupt the fight and ask them to calm down because they worked well together as a group. One lured them in while the others killed. But this guy isn't going to let it slide. That guy is always talking crap to him and is never satisfied with anything. The other one tells him to apologize quickly. After all, he was wrong, so the running guy apologizes. Well, now that the storm has passed, they decide to go to the second floor. After all, it's time to buy a new house. When they get there, the girl says that another team has already received their reward. Sorry. Wow, those guys worked so hard to get the reward, and now what? The guy can't believe that there was a team that killed 100 goblins before them. Ah, that can't be true. She must be joking, making fun of them in a place like this. She'd better just give them the house they deserve. But apparently, that girl isn't joking. She points her finger, saying that the team is right over there. Those were the first to kill about 100 goblins, and he looks completely shocked. An elderly couple and a good-looking young man don't stand a chance of hunting 100 goblins. Da-bin asks how the fight went. They had a confrontation in exchange for giving up the new house, and Mr. Jinwoo's house will get electricity, food, and other things, and his daughters won't have to do missions anymore. It seems that Mr. Jinwoo's daughters aren't minors. The girl thinks they should be exempt from doing the missions because of that, but it seems those girls are already adults and just look younger than they really are. Like him. Well, I don't think he looks that young, actually. The girl agrees with me too. The daughters of this couple are very good at using bows, and it was also promised to both of them that they would receive bows and arrows. It seems they're going to keep hunting goblins. Jamin said he wanted all the goblins in the region to be hunted. While they keep talking, they continue to completely ignore the presence of that other guy. Then he butts into the conversation, saying they're giving too many privileges and that they're the ones responsible. This is completely unfair. Yeah, it might seem unfair to them. So he already stopped them from sending the second and third teams to the 30th floor to also receive their rewards. Oh, did he hear that? Jamin has a good heart and things worked out well for his team, huh? She says that Jamin is waiting for them upstairs, so they go up to visit this Kim Jamin. The guy keeps thinking that this guy even looked younger than him. And why does she speak with such a respectful tone when she says this guy's name? As they keep going up in the elevator, there's one person who doesn't agree with the whole team. After all, they're being protected by Kim Jamin's abilities, and everyone there is just trying to win his favor. Here comes a new argument, now 1 against 3. The guy starts replaying everything in his head and calls him a bastard, but then they reach the 30th floor and the doors are about to open. The guy gives the other an ultimatum, saying they'll have a talk later. And there he is, our dear Kim Jamin. The guy has a gangster vibe mixed with hip-hop, huh? Pretty young. He gives a, hey, how's it going? And just by smiling, everyone there starts to shake in their boots. He introduces himself, saying he's Bareki Siagwib. Kim shakes his hand firmly and says he saw how he hunts. Looks like they made good use of the barrier. The guy knows there weren't any cameras nearby. How does this guy know that? He goes on, smiling, saying that now he's going to provide water, electricity, and gas to units 1301 and 1502. Is that really possible? But of course it is. Even without believing it, Kim keeps saying that they hunted 100 goblins, so that means they're qualified to receive the reward. And besides, he's not some cult leader. He looks the guy straight in the eye and says he has no intention of becoming a god either. And certainly he also has 4 requests for you. Now let's start all over again. There they are, running from a group of goblins, but this time through the city's narrow alleys. And the guy with the spear was standing still, waiting for everyone to arrive there. Now finally, the part that interests him the most, the part where he's going to drive his spears into those damn goblins. Dong is now at level 33. This is the 6th Lancer Servant. Confidence, 70. Loyalty, 78. His special skill is throwing and stabbing. And the XP distribution rate, 200%. His spear skill is rank B, but his stabbing skill is rank A. It allows him to temporarily manifest a sword aura when stabbing the target. And he also has the Knight skill, which was nothing more, but nothing less than that buff, based on the loyalty stat. And if he wants, he can develop the knights by allocating experience to them. He keeps throwing those aura-imbued spears, now with 11% more effectiveness. One of them hits a goblin squarely, sending it flying, but another comes charging in, determined to avenge its friend. At the very least, that spearman is sure he's going down, but the spearman stands his ground, unmoving, when suddenly an aura-imbued arrow flies past him and hits the goblin right in the head. He was saved by that archer girl, but our guy remains unfazed. He grabs another spear and throws it at the last orc, hitting it dead on, and with that, he completes his mission of hunting down about 100 orcs. So this time, he managed to rescue all the survivors without a single scratch. This guy is in fact really strong. And so, all those survivors will be granted permission to enter his domain. Would he like to register all of them as citizens? This time there were 3 people, and with that, he now has about 200 citizens. Since he has this impressive number of citizens, he has now developed the ability to collect taxes. Very good. Interesting. This seems like a domain expansion. Well, he can collect 10% of the citizens' current balances as tax. That ability doesn't actually deduct from the citizens' real balances and has a cooldown period of 30 days. That means this ability can return a portion of the money they've earned back to him. However, the one thing this guy can't figure out is how much he actually takes. At this rate, it'll take him 10 months to receive the full amount, and he doesn't have that much time to save his parents. If he can send Ha Dong and his Nanbong team as quickly as possible, maybe it will be possible. Dong means neighborhood. So let's go with the initial distribution rate. Will people think 30% is too much? Maybe they should think of it as an investment. Now that his skill level has increased, he also has the House Declaration, which reached level 10 and earned 3 skill points. Every time this happens, it's almost like a domain expansion. His whole body starts to tremble, and that dome begins to grow. Ah, I like that. Congratulations. Now that entire building is his, and he received 1 billion won as funds, and the construction function was unlocked. So does that mean he just unlocked the Clash of Clans feature? The facilities available for construction are solar power generator, 133 million. Pretty cheap, huh? There's also a store, 219 million, and a gym, 300 million, while he has about 1 billion. And the annual output of those things is about 30 million. So which of the 3 should he build first? He's shocked when he sees the numbers. 30 million are produced in a year. Although that electricity generator costs about 130 million to break even, he needs to keep it running for at least 5 years. So, should he go for it or not? I think it's not the right time yet. After all, he needs to use the money first to raise Hadong's level. But wait, he has 1 billion. That money can also be used to build various things, right? Ah, he just had a brilliant idea. This completely changes the focus. The funds are totally different from the money that goes into his wallet, so he can use it, no doubt. So he goes back to the system and clicks yes. The power generation will be activated, and the remaining time until the generator's construction is completed is about 24 hours. And there are 867 million left. Well, he doesn't think that's enough. He needs to build more. Damn it! The system just blocked this guy. It's not possible to build more than 1 generator per building. Maybe he can build a store, but it seems like that is much better than he thought. That store has an ability linked to the ruler store, and the items he registered can be sold there. But what makes it even more interesting is that no one is needed to operate the store, and the system produces the item in real time when the money is paid. Before this, he needed to assign a group of people just to distribute supplies and first aid to others. And with that store nearby, they'll be able to buy everything they need. But in fact, our system is getting really interesting because this guy is the system itself. How wonderful is that? He can also set all the prices, and with that, he can further increase his money distribution rates. He decides not to waste any more time and to build it immediately. Now, all he has to do is choose a location to place the store. So he starts thinking that maybe Unit 101 would be the perfect spot. And the completion time for that store is 2 days. And finally, the installation of a gym. After all, everyone needs to be in shape. At the gym, everyone can improve their strength and endurance. And when they train there, training efficiency increases by 200%. And if a citizen is at level 15 or below, the efficiency is tripled. Wow, what an overpowered gym. Although he already knew that people could level up there through exercise, it would be great to grant such a good mission reward. Where will he put the gym, I wonder? The second floor is the perfect spot, and the construction will be completed in 3 days. Now let's take a look at the skill points. The skill Final Recluse's Shop has reached level 5, and now he can register up to 500 items, plus a modification function has been added. Items can now be purchased individually. This means that items that used to be sold only in kits can now be bought separately. If you don't have much money, this will be very useful. Let's take an example. Water. You can buy 300 ml, 500 ml, 1 liter, 2 liters, 10 liters, whatever amount you need. Even if not everything is available, there are a lot more options now. And what about the other items? How will he divide those up? Pasta, for example, will be sold by the package or by soup, big soup, large package, medium package, instant noodles, and all the different types of pasta you can imagine. Ah, that's going to be really useful for carrying out longer missions. A little further away, the knight is fighting several orcs. Even though the orc is very strong, he is much faster and manages to dodge all of that monster's attacks. And with just 1 strike under the ribs, he ends that orc's life. Yeah, it looks like that one gave him some trouble. The other guy calls out to him and asks, what happens when he throws the axe? He himself has never stopped to think about that. The guy asks to borrow the axe to try it out. He activates his ability on the axe, and it looks like he's about to throw it with full force. He winds up and throws the axe all at once. The guy can't believe he just threw his axe so far away. And now how are they going to get it back? No worries, you just have to compact it and cancel the summoning before summoning it again. Ah, if that's the case, then it's all right. So he does as the guy said, and another axe materializes in front of him. Wow, this guy is a genius. Now they have infinite axes, but unfortunately, that girl doesn't have many arrows left and they need to move quickly. Then she looks to the side and sees a sack full of arrows materializing. And the girl is completely confused, wondering how that sack full of arrows just appeared out of nowhere. It seems he can use omnifocus. He can use another ability when he's observing an area with the eyes of the absolute ruler. Well, now that she has arrows, nothing can stop her. She starts shooting at the remaining monsters. Congratulations, you have successfully hunted a level 19 orc. You gained a lot of experience, as well as 2,100,000 deposited into your wallet. Those first citizens he had picked up managed to complete their mission, and even Kim's level increased. Yeah, it seems the system was right. It's possible to increase stats with mission rewards as well. It looks like he's starting to see a glimmer of hope. His parents' house is about 10 kilometers from there. That means it will take about 3 hours of walking to get there. Well, then maybe it's time to leave the house. He takes the elevator. Yeah, this is one of the few times he's able to leave his apartment, but it's not very far either. He starts to look at that wonderful city, once a very beautiful and prosperous place. Now it's all destroyed, and he needs to hurry because time is running out. Now first he's going to start with Hadong, and also Moonbyung, who's level 22, and that guy's clever skill is Crow Governor, while Kim Jong's C-rank skill is being put to good use for reconnaissance at the moment. There's also Heo Yongho, the bear warrior woman who's at level 33, and there's another one with a healing ability, and he's gonna give her a mission as well. It would be much easier for him to combine an attack with healing, but unlike Kim Da-eun, whom he registered as a vassal, Hyeon-jun still doesn't have enough loyalty to qualify as a vassal. All he can do is give a blessing. This way, he consumes mental strength to temporarily boost physical abilities by 70%, as well as provide B-class magical armor that protects the target. People who have clever abilities from the start have a huge advantage. Unfortunately for our boy, that's the only choice he has. Or is it? The resurrection of the sun. Even if he tries several times in a row, he doesn't have enough money. So at this moment, he needs to increase the difficulty of the mission as much as he can. So they're going to hunt monsters of level 40 or higher. It looks like they're going to face a very strong monster. That will also guarantee great rewards in return. And the time limit will be 24 hours. And the penalty? Death. But look, he still doesn't have enough money to provide the reward for the resurrection mission. He'd better try when he has more money. Wow, the amount of money he has is way too little for this. Then another window in the system pops up, showing that he successfully hunted an 18-level orc and has now obtained 788,000. Imagine if he could assign a group mission to those people. Hunt a level 40 or higher monster, time limit, 24 hours, reward, resurrection of the sun, penalty for failure, death. But he knows that first he needs to have Hyeon-jun completely on his side. Then out of nowhere, he gets visitors. Someone is desperately outside, asking him to open the door, and he quickly goes to answer. He opens the door, and there she is. That woman had run to his apartment, all sweaty. She pauses for a few moments to catch her breath before speaking. She starts shouting that right now, but before she can finish, he already knows what she's talking about. It seems she received a notification from the system, and she breaks down and starts crying, thanking Kim Jae-min for everything. And she is going to be very happy to have at least one day with him. After all, that's all she wants most in life, at least one more day together with her son. Now her loyalty has surpassed 30 points, and she has met all the requirements to be registered as a vassal. Well, it looks like the plan was a success. What will the new developments be? He looks up and sees nothing but energy. Then he looks down, and there's a faucet, and it seems to be dripping. So with that, he quickly gets an idea. Then he turns on the faucet and sees that the water is gushing out. Maybe all he should use is the preservation of dignity. He's getting used to living with a certain tension, and he feels like he's becoming a wizard. Now, he can properly control electricity, water, and light. The guy is becoming a god, that's what it is. The store's revenue for today is being calculated. He earned about 320,981 deposited into the ruler's wallet. Wow, that means he made a 20% profit. That means today's sales exceeded 1.5 million. Now it's time to activate the ruler's absolute eyes and observe everything they're doing. Well, people are already in the store shopping, and some are even worried that they should save a bit of money too. While others say that just that bow cost about 150,000 and they only made 10,000 today. So in about 15 days, they'll be able to make that money back. But unfortunately, they don't have any noodles or water for the next 15 days. This guy is so smart, he must calculate everything on his own. It seems that in fact, people are feeling freer, liberated, just because he shared the reward money, and the market is running at full steam. After that mysterious place known as the shop appeared, the little money that comes from hunting goblins has now started to spark everyone's desire to hunt. And now, there aren't enough goblins left to hunt inside the condominium. They need to venture outside, and their levels are progressing smoothly. And also, they managed to get many new citizens. The total population is 789 people. He gets a 100% bonus, as well as a reward bonus equivalent to 100%. From now on, things are going to increase drastically, and the system sends notifications every second saying that he has gained more experience and earned more money. Now, 243,000. Meanwhile, outside, people are fighting against those orcs. That's child's play for that bear woman. She tears one apart with her hand and bites another while holding two more with her other hand. And so she goes on massacring dozens of orcs extremely quickly, driven by a single desire. Then, after everything is over, she returns to her original form, a bit more feminine. Those monstrous bear claws now turn into soft, silky skin, but still extremely hot, with the fire of battle burning and sweat dripping down. Everyone is worried about her after all. She took down all the monsters by herself. But it seems like she's fine. It looks like she's carrying the whole team on her own. They can't manage to kill anyone else anymore. She apologizes and says that next time she'll leave some for them. It seems like it was an excellent idea to pair the bear woman with the healer woman. And in fact, that's what's expected considering their stats. And they're together at level 40 with 66 loyalty and 66 skill. Everyone already knows that she has the warrior bear ability, and she also has primal frenzy. That primal frenzy ability means that when wounds are inflicted, the ancient living blood greatly increases regeneration, and in addition, with S-rank primal frenzy, the user's eyes turn red upon seeing blood, and their physical abilities are increased by 300%. Everyone panics when they realize there's a huge creature making terrifying noises deep inside. Wow, what kind of creature is in that dark depth? At the same speed the sound arrives, the creature appears and they are completely terrified. Wow, look at the size of that orc, armed with armor and a weapon. And it looks like he has a lot of battle experience too. Seeing that huge orc, the girl immediately activates her bear mode and fully transformed charges at the orc, while the other two were already trying to run away. She goes at him with full speed. The orc monster isn't going to run away. On the contrary, he's going to face her head on. He gets ready to use his weapon, and she swipes him right in the chest, but he manages to block it with his weapon. Realizing this, she follows up with another series of blows, and he keeps defending himself. But then she roars. As the fight goes on, he notices that the girl with the bow is about to shoot an arrow at him, and she's aiming right at his head. Then she fires with full force. The bear dodges while the arrow keeps heading toward him, but he still manages to block it with his weapon. Noticing this, the bear roars and charges at him again, and he still manages to hold the bear back. The bear's weight is enormous and manages to throw him to the ground. He's in a tough spot, but he still manages to defend himself. And on the ground, they ended up face to face, which was the perfect opportunity for the bear to bite him. It was over. All that was left was the corpse of a level 28 orc captain, and they earned about 263,000. The bear girl managed to kill the leader of the Jean-Paul station, and the requirement for the advanced base was added to the list of buildings available for construction. Now he can build a safe zone outside the house. When activated, the area designated as part of his house will also receive the same effects temporarily. However, it can only be active when a citizen with the title of knight or higher is present, and it is not allowed to stay there for more than a day, or it will be destroyed. And he can build that base for about 1,300,000. Ah, this is very interesting. Jamin never expected to build a base outside the house. It seems he liked the idea. After all the orcs have been killed and he has money to spend. Maybe this is worth investing in. So he starts the construction, and it will take about 7 days, and also require about 3 citizens who hold the title of knight or higher. Wait a moment. If he decides to build, it means those 3 will have to stay there for at least a week. The biggest loss here will definitely be time. A whole week. He can't afford to spend that much time on this. If most of the monsters around Jean-Paul Station have been killed, there's really no need to build an advanced base there. So, for now, he decides to postpone it. But in fact, this is also a very good option. If he can build it where his parents' house is, he'll feel much more at ease. As long as they're within his territory, he'll be able to protect everyone in the safest way possible. So, maybe it would be a little easier to bring Grandma and Grandpa to where he is now. All he hopes is that they're still alive. And now that it's come to this point, he's going to send Hadong's group to his parents' house tomorrow. So, still at that station, the guy is shocked to see the bear woman's abilities. She keeps tearing all the monsters apart, showing no mercy at all. How can a human use so more abilities, but everyone knows she's not an ordinary human, but a meta-human? And I guess at the very least, that's to be expected from a girl who can turn into a bear over 2 meters tall. That girl was already pretty strong before receiving Jae-min's blessings. He remembers that this girl, who's now tearing the orcs' hides apart, used to be obsessed with killing goblins. How did this guy manage to convince her to fight on his side? Did this girl actually acquire a new ability? Jae-min then gave the new return mission with a time limit of 1 hour. So everyone starts to gather, it's time to go home. The guy calls his crow, which comes extremely fast. He offers his arm for the crow to perch on. That little creature is very useful and very gentle with him. Since it's time to head back, the team needs him to do some scouting. Now it's the crow's time to shine. So he sends the bird to scout ahead, and that's exactly what it does. It flies higher and higher, surveying the entire area. While he synchronizes with the crow, he can see the whole city from above. Yeah, it looks clear. There are no monsters nearby, so they can leave quickly. But something worries this guy. Deep in that dark tunnel, he hears some noises and thinks it's a rat, so he decides to get off the tracks, but he keeps looking back. This guy is really suspicious about what's at the end of that tunnel, and it looks like there are some glowing eyes back there. Oh my, it really was a rat. The rat jumps out from there. It looks like it's just following them. Could it be that someone is using a reconnaissance ability with the rat? Very strange, after all. That rat is just observing. Maybe it could be a human, since the monster can't get past the barrier, so maybe that means it's a human. Now that everyone has returned, Kim asks for everyone's help. He bows his head humbly to everyone in that room, but no one understands what's going on. He says he knows the chances are very low. It seems his family members are in that apartment complex, but unfortunately, he's not sure either. Moon Byung shouts that if he needs help, everyone will help. Everyone looks at him as he says that everyone will help, since it's all thanks to Kim Jae-min that they've managed to survive until now. All he has to do is say what they need to do, and they'll do it. Kim was very happy to hear those words. Now that all the orcs at John Station are dead, they just need to follow the subway line to Seomyeon Station. Jagashi Station is the closest to his parents' house, and they need to exit through exit number 2 when they get there. After they leave, he will guide them to where his parents are supposed to be, but he knows this mission will be quite complicated, and he's not asking everyone to go. Some should focus on Seomyeon Station for now. Kim thanks everyone and wishes them a good rest, since they'll start executing the plan tomorrow. The bear girl asks him to wait. She still has a question. Do you think this guy can bring his family here with that ability of his? But it seems he's already tried. He thought about having a teleported target as a mission reward. That's why he got so excited after seeing Moon Byung's awakened ability. Unfortunately, the system said that this couldn't be used as a mission reward, and the result was a complete failure. If he had to guess, maybe it's because his influence didn't reach where Moon Byung's grandmother was. If that's the case, he won't be able to do anything, even if his parents are about to die, all because they're outside the range of his influence. Unfortunately, he's not a god yet. There are still things he can't do, but he's able to calm everyone down so that no one gets worried. The promise he made to her, he's still going to keep. And with that, the trust with Hyunjun increased. She smiles and thanks him for his honesty, and he responds by thanking her for their time together. Then everyone leaves while he notices a system notification. Apparently someone who doesn't have entry permission is trying to get in, and there's also a being who meets all the requirements to become a citizen approaching. Very interesting. Now he activates the ruler's eyes to see who it is. It looks like that girl is an awakened. Her name is Seong Hye-jin, and she has agreed to become a citizen. Awakened ability, Queen of Rats. Wow, can this woman actually turn into a rat? Even he is in disbelief. A rat? An hour ago she was thinking, who are these people in the world? And she couldn't believe that humans are capable of massacring orcs. That means all of them are awakened, but is that really possible? But she doesn't really believe in that possibility, so all she can do is keep going and see where it leads. It's getting hard for her to take care of everyone by herself. Unfortunately, her ability alone isn't enough. So she runs to try to observe these awakened humans, and they're pulling away while she keeps running after them. They turn, and she turns after them. They stop, and she stops. Then she arrives at a completely different place, and sees human children playing in a playground, totally carefree. How is it possible to have so many people inside just that one building? She notices that even the lights have power. How can that be possible in an apocalypse like this? She needs to find out more. So she runs toward the building as fast as she can and goes up the stairs, but suddenly she hits the dome, the ability of our protagonist. She hit it so hard that she even got a bump on her head. The system window appeared to her. Unfortunately, you have been denied access. And then another window popped up. Do you really wish to become a citizen? Without thinking twice, she clicks yes. She waits and nothing happens. Is it impossible to become a citizen if you're a rat? She receives another notification. Congratulations, you have obtained citizenship. Yeah, it looks like it actually worked, so she continues her journey. In the hallways of that building, she sees several humans, but they can also see that there's a rat in the building, and some people even start screaming. Now everyone is trying to step on the rat while she's just trying to escape. She runs one way, then another, with feet everywhere. She keeps running and enters a room. Well, in that room, she starts observing everyone, and it seems like a really cool gym. She notices that everyone is giving their best to get stronger. While some are working on their biceps, others are focusing on chest exercises. Even the women are getting muscular. Everyone there is strong, and as she looks around, she keeps wondering what kind of place this is. Why are there so many people in one place during an apocalypse? Her head starts to hurt a lot, and she gets disconnected. But even so, she starts smiling a lot. Finally, she found a really good way to survive. A bigger problem she has is getting there. Somehow, she needs to get to Jeonpo Station. She starts biting all her nails, thinking that this is the only way. Maybe she can do it if she goes through the subway tracks, but she remembers a strange monster that was at that station, and it really is a big problem. Let's say a huge one, but she knows she actually has a chance because of this. An army of rats, and there is no place she can't get into. Moments later, a notification arrived that he had hunted a level 2 domesticated rat and gained a small amount of experience, as well as some money. That rat queen has the loyalty of all the rats that have encountered her. Once a rat has been domesticated, it can be controlled and its senses can be freely shared. So that means she can control rats. He uses absolute eyes to try to find her so he can make her a vassal as well. He looks through the building's hallways, but she's not there. He also checks the amusement park, but she's not there either. What if he gives her a quest to find him, with a 48-hour time limit? A chocolate reward. But then he remembers what the other girl said earlier, that he couldn't bring his familiars using his abilities. And he tried several times, but all without success, simply because they're out of his sphere of influence. So naturally, a target to whom he granted citizenship should technically be under his influence. He can say this for sure. After all, the monsters they killed grant money and experience no matter how far away they are from him. So he starts to create a quest, and the quest is nothing more than to visit the apartment unit. Time limit, 10 seconds. Reward, chocolate bar, and the penalty for failure, summoning. Yeah, in fact, that quest is going to work because there's no way she'll make it in 10 seconds. And to think that he could make use of the failure penalty in this way is surreal. He then decides to try it this way, even though it's something unique. If he can summon citizens outside with this, it will be a success. And it would also be possible to bring his entire family there safely. And in the case that the outpost base is active, it should function temporarily, just like the main territory. But what if he sends the Hadong group there and builds the outpost base? That way, he can grant citizenship to all his family members. Then it will just be a matter of using the system's search function to summon them to where he is. This is a great plan, but the question here is how much money it will cost. So, now that he has a plan, he decides to give it a try. He's praying that the cost won't be more than $1 billion. And after 10 seconds, a notification arrives that Citizen Heijin failed and 31 million were used. Whew, that was close, and he even thought it was cheap. That girl was teleported right into his apartment. It actually worked. Now he's face to face with the Queen of Rats. She looks at him, not understanding what's going on, and he says, "Hi, Miss Heijin." Now she becomes even more terrified. How does this guy know who she is? And also, who is he? But he says he's the same guy who granted her citizenship, so if he's the one who gave her citizenship, does that mean she's already in the apartment building? That's the upper level of the apartment complex she saw through the rat. Our boy apologizes to her after all. She's shocked by all of this. He offers her a cereal bar and a soda as an apology and introduces himself as Kim Jae-min. In the middle of the apocalypse, no one can refuse food, so she takes it. She says that just now some really strange people showed up, and he says he was the one who gave those people that mission. So in that case, she helped some people and wanted Kim to let them become citizens too. She was going to bring everyone. But considering the distance, it's almost impossible. That's why she was taking the risk, but just how many people are there in total? But it's only 35 people. He never imagined there were that many people with that girl, and that really complicates things. Unfortunately, at this moment, he won't be able to do it. After all, it would be impossible with the power he currently has, and she begs him. Her mother and younger brother are still there. He knows very well the distress that girl is feeling, so he asks for a moment to think of a solution. He remembers that he was able to grant citizenship to Seog Heijin, even though she wasn't there in person, which means his territory considered the rat as part of her. So maybe there are more possibilities. He looks at his system window, which shows her trust level is already at 37. He hasn't done anything, and her trust is already that high. It seems that girl is in a situation where she has no choice but to trust him. And he turns to her again, calls her by name, and asks if she's really willing to work. And she quickly replies that she'll do whatever she can. Our boy never disappoints. He'll find a way to make this work then. All she has to do now is trust him completely. If she says she completely trusts him, he'll find some way to save her family. The girl starts sweating nervously and begins shouting that she trusts him and will do whatever it takes to save her whole family. Yeah, it looks like the plan worked. The system notified that trust reached 50 points and loyalty was unlocked. Now he can register her as a vassal, so that's what he does. She starts to receive all the power of a vassal of Kim Jae-min, and her loyalty is at 33 and her level is 31. Now that she's become a vassal, her trait has been enhanced, Tamer. It increases the tamer's stats according to the loyalty value and also boosts the growth speed of the tamed based on the trust value. This way, the tamer will continue to grow. Those who reach a certain level can undergo evolution. Does she have any tamed rats near the area where her family members are? And still feeling the pressure of the power entering her body, she says yes. So all she has to do is take those rats directly to her family, and that's what she does. While she controls the rats, he observes everything with the gaze of a ruler, and that is a level 2 tamed rat. Now he sees that there are 4 people there, and it seems they know about that girl's ability. Then, out of nowhere, a system window activates above the rat's head, and from it falls water, food, noodles, everything they need for their basic survival needs. None of them can believe how food suddenly started to appear. This can only be the work of that girl, without a doubt. And their trust in her increased greatly and kept growing, and it seems like things are going exactly as he expected. That girl's ability with the rats and the absolute eyes are a perfect combination, and from now on, he will be able to observe through the eyes of thousands of rats crawling through the sewers. His power is getting more and more insane. He just got his hands on the best reconnaissance troops possible, so that means he's referring to the area near the sea. Coincidentally, that girl had been there because her parents lived there, and it would naturally be more advantageous for her to go on the first reconnaissance trip together with Ha Dong's group. And all she needs to do is send her rats as well. If she does that, he can see with his own eyes that her family is also alive. Then it would be much easier for him to send plenty of supplies to everyone who is there, but she'll take care of that. She'll do everything as agreed. Now her confidence has grown a bit more, and they are ready to start that mission immediately. He suggests that she go along the tracks, Busan line number 1. You remember that Busan means neighborhood, right? His plan is to use that line as a rescue operation route in the future. She starts shouting, saying that he can't do that because there's a terrifying monster in there. But he had no idea there was a monster inside, which means they'll have to clear out that area. He asks her if she can send a rat to where the monster is, and she says yes and does it right away. So there it is, walking through the corridors of that abandoned subway station. It runs as fast as it can, and then we see the body of a huge orc hanging and a very large snake devouring it. That snake is colossal. I'd venture to say it's more than 10 meters long. The rat stays still, watching the snake, but then the snake notices that something is watching her, and the rat quickly hides behind a pillar. But she immediately goes to check what it is. Not even a single small rat goes unnoticed by that serpent. She opens her mouth and gets ready to strike. That serpent is one of the natural enemies of rats. She strikes, but he manages to dodge and run as far away as he can. Even though he's pretty fast, she's able to track him, and he keeps running farther away. Meanwhile, our boy Kim Jae-min keeps using his absolute eyes, because that serpent is a gigantic monster. What level was that thing? It seems to be above level 40, since he saw what's inside there. That track can't be used. Maybe they could head to the other station, B1, which is one stop from here. She knows how skilled her teammates are. Even though there are several monsters there, they won't have any trouble getting through with their abilities. He knows that what she's saying isn't wrong, so that's settled. They'll do as she suggests. Now she can take over the post at Unit 2701. That's where she'll be living from now on, and that place definitely needs a good cleaning. They say their goodbyes while he thinks that, if he were in the same situation, he probably would have come up with the same plan, but that was before they met, of course. Now he checks the completion time for the installation of the solar power generator. There's only 1 day left until it's finished, and it's already being set up on top of the building. Its efficiency is exceptional, really good, but it's still far from being able to support 800 residents. So now, does he need to focus on saving money and installing more facilities? So he needs to increase the number of people working, but what if he sets up a 3-shift system for the base, and does the same for new public facilities? That idea seems to be the best one. Alright, so he gets started. The hunt continues. Sometime later, they've already gone out hunting and are doing everything all over again, running from various monsters. But this time the monsters are much faster. Since they won't be able to escape, they turn around to fight back. Those monsters are really fast because they're flying creatures, giant bats. They shoot several arrows at them with special tips, and the arrows pierce right through those bats. That subway line ends up covered with dead giant bats. The girl with the bow asks if anyone got hurt, but everyone is fine. The only thing that worries this girl is the snake that Hyman mentioned earlier. Can they really defeat that monster? The girl with the bow tells her to relax after all. He can summon them when things really get dark, so there's nothing to worry about. Yeah, it seems like they don't need to be so anxious. They decide to continue the mission. Next stop, Seongmyeon Station. The scene there is terrifying. All they see are several dead orcs, but unfortunately, they have to endure a little longer and keep going deeper and deeper. Now he comes face to face with a monster, and fear begins to corrupt his body. Everyone remains motionless, but I don't know for how long. That enormous serpent stares at the three of them, and the guy starts trembling with fear. Then another one starts shouting, asking how they could possibly kill a monster that size, while the snake watches, trying to decide which one to eat first. The guy hugs the girl, telling everyone to get down, and quickly everyone crouches. The whole station starts shaking, as if everything is about to collapse. Then it stops, and they start wondering what's going on, and out of nowhere, a notification appears. Mission assigned to the group of Hadong, Ilhun, and Jun: hunt the giant snake. But he can't believe it. How could anyone in the world hunt a giant monster like that? Some rocks had fallen onto the snake's body, and it was still moving, and he keeps wondering why this monster is acting like that. Then it starts to rise up. The bear girl still hasn't activated her transformation, and while he doesn't know what's going on, all he can do is take advantage of the brief opportunity. He strikes with all his strength, thrusting a spear into the middle of the snake's head. This is a giant snake capable of swallowing its prey whole, but doing that isn't an easy task because it's a living organism. When something enters its stomach after all, the snake would be in great danger while its prey attempts its fatal struggle. For this reason, they use venom to completely defeat their prey, or coil around their bodies to crush them into pieces. However, this only works for prey of a certain large size, not for a rat, which is a much smaller organism. Now I understand what's happening. That rat from before jumped inside her body, and no one could have imagined what kind of consequences that would bring. While our boy has his storage open, he has two abilities he can use. He starts making gas appear inside her stomach, and the stomach begins to swell up a lot. It looks like it's going to explode, and then he summons several burning tissues, a perfect combination for a beautiful explosion. That giant snake that tormented everyone in that subway now explodes completely. The snake died, but so did the rat, and the girl can feel it when one of her creatures dies as well. She says she's fine, but was just a little surprised by his battle tactics. And yeah, it seems like it was a great plan. He keeps using the eye of the absolute ruler. That team in the subway still doesn't understand what's going on, but there's one thing he knows. It has to be the vassals who kill that snake. That way, they can get 6 times the experience and gold split. That mission was assigned to those two teams. The guy decides to take advantage of another opportunity and lands another precise blow right on the head of that giant serpent, and it starts to growl. The bear girl runs in, activating her monstrous transformation, getting ready to use her claws, and once she's fully transformed, she starts slicing right through the snake's neck. Meanwhile, explosions keep going off inside its body. She didn't keep her transformation active for even 2 minutes, and that snake, which was already pretty weakened, is now done for. All she does now is watch that giant body fall. Congratulations. She successfully completed the mission to defeat the level 40 giant queen snake and earned a massive amount of experience. And the ruler's wallet is now pretty full of money too. Now it's possible to build an advanced base at Xiangmyo Station, and he gained several skill points, and the house declaration reached level 15. Every time his domain space increases, he feels excruciating pain throughout his entire body. And that dome, which protects everyone, now covers several streets. Every time his protective dome expands, they discover more beings who meet all the requirements to become citizens. But this time it's 200. So that's what he does. And this time, he reached a total of 1,000 citizens. And as the population reaches a certain limit, all citizens develop baseline abilities, but that ability is a passive one. And the cash acquisition rate for citizens gets a bonus of 100%. And he reads all of this and doesn't understand any of what it means. Among them, there's one named Kim Yan, level 17, confidence 57, loyalty 13. No clever skills at all, but what intrigues this guy is that it increases exactly as the description suggests. This literally means that even if he sets the distribution to 0, he can still get 100% experience and also gold separately. Then the girl approaches and interrupts his thoughts, and she keeps asking if he could bring the people who were with her. But of course that's the least he should do to repay her. That was the answer she wanted to hear, but he would negotiate for her to control the rat one more time. That way, he will tell the others to follow the rat so it can guide them. Back at that abandoned station, all that's left is the huge body of that giant snake rotting away and a rat quickly scurrying past it. A few injured people. That group from before chases after the rat. Then the guy notices that everyone there is dead. The girl says it wasn't her. It was already like that when she arrived, and they're talking about the orcs. That was originally the orcs' territory, and now all that's left are several orc bodies and a lot of blood all over the place. In that absolute darkness, all they can see is a rat and several bodies on the ground. Even though they've defeated that big boss monster, they can't let their guard down at all, because there could be several groups of monsters hiding. The rat keeps calling them. It seems like this guy has never seen a smart rat before, but this rat is part of Kim Jae-min's abilities. He can see everything that's happening using the ruler's absolute eyes, and by looking through the rat's vision, he can tell that there's no danger for now. While thinking about the 3 available skill points, he wonders where he should use them. And since the range of his influence has expanded, the first investment should be in the ultimate ocular ability. That way, the synergy with that Rat Queen girl's ability will increase a lot. So that's settled. He decides to level up the Supreme Eyes. Unlike the domain expansion, now what hurts is his head. A huge pain in his head and also in his eyes. But it's not a fleeting pain. It takes a while to go away. After she activates this skill, he sees another group of hunters hunting some goblins. But unlike the last times, he can now see the goblins' levels. While those hunters are killing those goblins, he now has access to all their information, from their level, height, whether they live in groups, their intelligence level, whether they can use tools, and also the skill level of those monsters. Whether they have long-range or short-range vision, whether they can distinguish objects clearly, even in the dark. This ability of his is perfect. It's exactly what he needed to assess enemy monsters. First, he needs to find monsters with more appropriate levels. This way, he can assign missions to others, and in doing so, save on the costs needed for resurrection. The next skill to evolve is weather prediction, preservation of dignity. Since he's going to meet a lot of people from now on, her trust and loyalty become even more important. And so he does it. He uses those skill points to level up his preservation of dignity. Then he notices a noise. Is that really a gunshot? Now he tries to find out who is using a gun. And there he is, a goblin, wearing human clothes and wielding a gun. No one believes that goblins can actually use a 38. But it seems that it's not just one goblin who can use a gun. There are several goblins who can, and they're fighting in groups. And now what is our group of heroes going to do? The goblins start shooting, and all they can do is get out of the way, run to hide. They keep firing while the group of hunters hides. Everyone thought those goblins had little intelligence. How did they manage to use weapons? Now, they can't face these creatures head-on, but they still have the boy Byung, who quickly teleports behind one of the goblins and, with a gleam in his eyes, lands his spear squarely in the back of the armed goblin. He slices through several goblins there in a row. Some of them jump at him, but without any success. He slices them in midair as well. When the goblins realize their allies are being wiped out, they turn and aim to hit that guy, but it looks like they won't make it in time. One of their hands is struck by an arrow. The girl won't let it happen. This is the opening they needed for the bear girl to enter the scene, along with our armored knight boy as well. Perfect timing, since the 2 who were armed are gone. Now it's just a matter of finishing off the remaining goblins. Those subway lines turned into a total bloodbath, and now our boy has another item to register, as well as 100 rounds of 38 caliber bullets. That's going to be great to sell at the shop, since after all, there are still many citizens who don't have any skills yet. But not everything is perfect. Unfortunately, he can't display this in the shop yet. There are certainly many advantages to showcasing a firearm in the store. People would instantly become much more effective at hunting monsters, and as a result, the experience and money that citizens earn would increase drastically. That said, trusting every citizen is quite a difficult task. The way he's been accepting various people has been completely random up to now. In other words, he still hasn't established any standards. He accepted everyone without any kind of screening because he believed he could maintain complete control over things, no matter what happened along the way. And the benefits kept increasing according to the size of the population, but things change when weapons are added to this equation. He has no guarantee that there aren't any ill-intentioned people among his population. Among so many citizens, there may be people who are envious, resentful, and also jealous, perhaps even more so. Eventually, some conflicts will happen and perhaps an innocent person could be killed. He realizes that only extremely trustworthy people should have access, specifically only those with high loyalty, but he already has someone in mind who should receive one first. So we return to the subway lines, which continue to be bathed in several goblin bodies, and now a gun materializes on his head, and he picks it up and thanks Mr. Jaming. Then they keep following that little rat, going deeper and deeper until they reach a strange door. He grabs the doorknob, thinking about opening it. Then he opens it and sees that inside there are several people. A little further away, people have access to a trail. After all, Jinjiming's domain has expanded quite a bit, so now they can walk around freely. For the first time in a long while, he can walk freely in the streets. Then he receives a notification from the system that someone without permission is trying to enter. Yeah, it looks like they've arrived, so he offers citizenship to everyone. Then Heijin notices her mom and her sister. The Rat Queen has now achieved her goal, thanks to Qin Jiming. Her sister realizes that the Rat Queen doesn't smell bad anymore. She actually smells really nice. Could there be warm water there for taking a bath? That's not all. Besides warm water for bathing, she also has a bed and hot meals. But that's thanks to our dear Qin Jiaming, who reminds her that he gave her apartment 2701, but it seems to be way too small to fit about 30 people. Only now did she realize the size of the problem. There are a lot of people there and everyone wants a place to live, and it doesn't seem very fair to give a home only to her family. But because of her merits, he will add 3 more vacant rooms for her, so now she can use apartments 2402, 2301, and 1092. Well, the trust among those 30 citizens has increased a lot, and also the Dara, along with his family members. As he looks at these notifications, he remembers that he leveled up and forgot to check beast management, but he doesn't have any beasts. But look how amazing. The system says he can summon a beast for just 1 billion. Look at his face. He thought it was really cheap. It's almost free. While he's thinking, someone comes closer and asks for a moment of his time. So they go back to his apartment again, and he asks what brings her there, Hi Ring, but she seems a bit embarrassed to speak. She thanks him for everything he's done, but it seems like she needs to leave. Then he's shocked. Why does this girl want to leave? While Kim Jae-min listens to everything in silence, she says that her skills aren't needed in that group and everyone will be fine without her, but maybe she's not being completely honest with him. She grits her teeth and starts shouting that she's scared. She's terribly frightened, and the goblins seem scary, just like the orcs and that huge snake they faced. And before too, when they were being chased by the tiger, her blood ran cold. She starts crying a lot and apologizes, even though he saved her several times, but she still feels like a complete useless person and won't be able to live up to his expectations. She had been thinking about this for a while. When they managed to rescue Moonbyung's grandmother, and also when they were exterminating the orcs and in the fight against the Red Tiger, these were all missions that put lives at risk, and frankly, she didn't have much to offer to help the team. Jaemin thinks that there's no blame in that. After all, the poisonous mist ability is quite dangerous, and if not handled properly, it can harm your allies, so it's difficult to use. But she risked her life too, and must have felt terrible seeing the results she got. While she continues sobbing, Kim Jae-min thinks that right now they're short on manpower, that it's a good thing they're on the 21st floor. She's trying to handle everything on her own and seems exhausted. He's thinking about building community facilities throughout the complex, but he needs to have someone trustworthy to handle the work, and maybe she's the person he can trust. Is she willing to help? Kim goes on to say that he believes someone who is willing to move forward can truly be useful, and the ability she has is also extremely powerful, and dealing with this poison is no easy task. It's certain that the time will come to use it one day, so if it's hard for her to be out in the field right now, maybe she can work internally for the time being. That way, when the time comes, they can use her ability as if it were an ultimate move. He then bows, once again asking for her help. It seems that now she can see hope. A new beginning to use her abilities. Her loyalty reached 100 points, and now she can be registered as a vassal, and even the limit has been increased. She wipes her tears and apologizes, saying she showed him her weak side. She's going to do her best to prove her worth again. Well, back in his apartment, he wonders if it's time to summon that beast that costs 1 billion. He throws caution to the wind and decides to use the beast summoning. Well, there goes 1 billion. A huge light starts to appear on the floor, growing larger and larger, and several strange markings that seem to be some kind of magic begin to fill the entire place. The light grows more and more intense, and he can barely look at it. And from there, a huge egg appears. That egg keeps glowing, and it starts to hatch, breaking into several pieces while still shining. What could possibly come out of there? Then everything calms down, and he sees a creature with black eyes and lots of feathers. It seems to be a bird, a 3-legged crow, level 1. That is a divine bird with 3 legs. It was born with the power of the sun. It is still young and needs protection. To grow, it must absorb high-quality sunlight. But that little animal looks very cute and is already born wanting food. What should it be called? Since it's a black crow, maybe it should be called Black Sound. How wonderful. He liked that name. That's a small relief, but he keeps chirping. It seems like he's hungry. The only thing nearby is a pack of salty snacks. The crow goes over and starts eating. Everything is so delicious. Now that he's full, he flops down with a full belly, and this bird is really carefree. Then he gets a notification that the generator's efficiency has reached 100%. That solar power generator produces between 80,000 and 100,000 daily, with a 100% bonus depending on the amount of sunlight collected, and the surplus energy is credited to the reclusive ruler's account. Wow, so that means he still hasn't built solar generators on the 10 new buildings. Almost all of his money was used up. It seemed like a waste, 130 million on a facility that only became profitable after a year. But with this, everything changes completely. The level of the three-legged crow increased, the generator's efficiency rose by 100%, and now he has an annual return of 90 million. The efficiency of the solar generators has tripled. Now all he has to do is build more solar generators on the 10 buildings, so that's what he does. Within a day, the new generator constructions will be completed. Now he decides to visit apartment 3001. He calls the company, saying that it's Kim Jae-min. Choi opens the door, surprised by Kim's visit, but Kim gets straight to the point. He would like to entrust the money to him. Unfortunately, what he said became inaudible, but Choi was terrified, and Jaemin paused for a moment to think about the tax collection ability and concluded that if he entrusts money to a citizen, he can turn that money into an investment, but it needs to be someone with very high loyalty. Although there is a 10% fee on the initial grant, it generates a 10% profit margin every month. Ah, that's a great rate. So the best person he has to entrust this money to is Choi, who has an incredible loyalty of 98 and a trust level of 89. He remains shocked to see that 1 billion credited to his account, and the basic cost fee is 30,000. His trust with Choi has reached the maximum level of 100, as has his loyalty. Even in disbelief, Choi still asks if he just wants him to hold on to the money. He had already planned this, but he didn't expect the loyalty to reach 100 points. And if he wants to use part of the money, he can. So that's settled. Choi will do as agreed and keep the money safe. Now let's move on to the next topic. The girl is asking him if she can really choose freely. He says yes. She, Dabin, and Hyling can go ahead and form a great team. Since she is the team leader, her weekly payment will be doubled. That girl can already see all the money coming into her account. And look, her loyalty just went up. She thanks him, saying she'll do her best, and quickly disappears to make the delivery as fast as possible. Now, it was time to make the tougher decisions. Let's move on to 2109. Everyone there worked hard, and all 5 of them are safe thanks to that giant serpent that was at Seoul-myeong Station. The area around it has become a monster-free zone, and there are no more monsters on the underground subway tracks. And since there's no threat there, this is their chance. Before the monsters invade, they need to act first. When he saw Yu Hai-jin crying and begging, he realized something. The people standing before him right now are risking their lives to fulfill all his requests, and thanks to the Rat Queen, who warned them in advance about the monster at the station, they managed to avoid an imminent disaster. It could have been much worse if they hadn't known about the existence of that monster. In that world, dying at any moment is no surprise. He knows that wanting to protect his family might be considered selfish, but even so, he hopes that everyone can go straight to Jigalchi Station tomorrow. He's not going to give up on his family so easily. Well, so moments later, he's having a cup of coffee, which is really cheap these days, watching his beautiful crow. The energy generator keeps raising the crow's level. Now it's already reached 5, and he's just unlocked part of the power of the sun. He also managed to inherit part of the summoning beast's power and awaken basic elemental magic. Now, it really does seem like he's actually becoming a mage. He tries to use it at his fingertip, and from there a small flame appears. The sensation feels very familiar. It feels exactly the same as when he uses the dignity preservation skill. Our boy gets a new idea, so he goes down to the courtyard and makes sure there's no one nearby to watch. And now he tries to use his imagination. He forces his mind to imagine that he's unleashing an explosion of flames as big as that house. He makes the Kamehameha gesture, and power instantly starts gathering, and an incredible fireball appears. That fireball was amazing in his mind, but in reality, it's only the size of a head. It seems like that's his limit. Honestly, it doesn't really seem like such an amazing or extraordinary ability at first glance, but if it's combined with gas summoning and then further boosted with dignity preservation, it could potentially become something like a bomb. Unfortunately, that particular ability is still at a rather low level, but its potential in the end might in fact ultimately be quite limited, at least for now. But he knows that little Crow, Black, will keep growing. Now that he knows the limits of that ability, he decides to wrap up the experiments for today, and it's time for a good meal. Several solar power generators have now been completely built. While he eats, he thinks that the crow has already gained 3 more levels just this morning. Thanks to that, the generator's efficiency increased 8-fold, and he's able to supply electricity to all the apartments and still have plenty left over, which goes directly into his wallet as cash. Then someone arrives singing, and there she is, the Rat Girl. Thanks to the Rat Queen's abilities, the range of his own abilities has expanded drastically. He can't help but look after this girl. He asks her to accompany Hadong to Seoul-myeong Station, but the girl is quite efficient. She had already sent some rats along the subway route. That means they can reach Seoryang Station without any problems. But what if they go beyond that station? Yeah, it seems things aren't going so well at Busan Station. You guys remember that Busan means neighborhood, right? It's better that he sees it with his own eyes. She then starts to channel her power and synchronizes to show him everything. That station is in complete chaos. Everything is destroyed, and some parts are completely submerged. Damn, at this rate, they won't be able to get through. She tried to send rats above ground, but up there it's also total chaos. Absolutely everything. There isn't a single building left intact. Everything has been reduced to just rubble. He keeps trying to figure out what happened there. Could it have been an earthquake? He notices a giant hole, and it seems to have a very peculiar shape. That looks like a footprint. And now he understands why so many buildings aren't standing anymore. And also why all the roads are completely destroyed. You all understood too, didn't you? Then the shaking starts again. That building sways so much it looks like it could collapse at any moment. At this rate, his entire building and the other structures will come crashing down. The tremors keep getting stronger, and even those newly installed solar panels start to move. Kim asks if the Rat Queen is okay, but more importantly, what was that? What's causing these kinds of tremors? Then suddenly someone starts banging on the door, calling his name like crazy, and tells him to come quickly to see this. Choi quickly. We open the door and apologize, but first, they should go to his apartment. This is creepy. From Hyojin's place, he can clearly see the Seongmyeon station area. That powerful explosion from before now seems to be pulling him urgently. No chance to resist. Choi goes to the balcony and tells him to look at that disaster. When he looks, all he feels is a sense of complete paralysis. Why does it always have to be like this? And what the hell is that? There's a colossal Cyclops monster destroying all the buildings in that city. Why is it that every time things are going well, something bad like this happens? The monster keeps destroying everything, without discrimination. It seems like its only goal is to wipe the city clean of buildings. So he decides to use his vassal summoning ability and quickly brings his entire team close. No one knows why they're there, but it's probably connected to that earlier earthquake. So they manage to see it, but they can't believe what they're seeing either. The monster stops destroying all the buildings and now focuses its single gaze on one spot. And it's looking at that beautiful, energy-filled building while everyone inside wonders what kind of monstrous creature this is. Now, we've got a kaiju in this story. The monster stomps the ground with tremendous force and sits on one of the buildings. In a few moments, this monster will get up again and make its way to their building. How are they supposed to face a monster that's kilometers tall and has 4 arms? He keeps trying to think, but can't come up with any answers. And can his barrier ability withstand an attack from this monster? Well, its specialty is destroying buildings. Everyone starts asking, Kim Jae-min, what are we going to do? And he can't find any answer in his mind. The bear girl asks him to let her handle this. But can Hyunjong really do anything? Still, her fighting spirit is burning against that giant. He still doesn't understand what's happening in that girl's body, so he smiles and asks her if she really thinks it's possible. And she says that if it's impossible, she'll make it possible. All right then. Now he issues a mission, hunt down a giant Cyclops. Time limit, 24 hours. Reward, resurrection of the sun for 1 day. Penalty for failure, extreme pain for 1 day. Now he's going to give a brief summary of the mission. Everyone is supposed to listen carefully. But only they heard it, because we didn't hear anything. The only thing it shows is whether everyone has understood, and everyone answers yes. Team 1 is Hyunjong and Hadong, Kim, Dagung, Gang, Joksoon, and also Team 2, which has Kim, Mon, and Kim again. And finally, Team 3, which will be him together with the Queen of Rats. He's going to handle everything there and asks everyone to quickly move to their assigned positions. He's counting on everyone to do the part that was assigned to them. So everyone goes to take their positions. But the Poison Mist girl calls out to Jae-min, saying that those who completed their military service were sent to the front gate, and the rest of the residents were guided to the underground parking lot. Ah, she did a good job, but she also wants to help in this battle, even if it's just a little. She says this while her hands are still trembling, but nothing escapes Jae-min's watchful eyes. He asks if she's going to be okay. She's scared, but she knows she has to be brave. Ah, that was all Kim wanted to hear. Well, now everything is set. The 3 of them head together to the front gate, and in the underground parking lot, they're already counting the people. Out of more than 1,200 people, only 101 completed military service. That's an extremely small number, but they still don't know what to do. Some people are worried about the Barako Cheonjobi twins, and it seems that they ran away. Both of them, along with a few hundred others who pretended not to notice anything and escaped to the underground parking lot. Those people are complete cowards. Some people start trying to persuade the crowd by saying that some people are foolish, blindly risking their lives. Those people came to protect their precious families and also themselves. And there's a popular saying that courage isn't about not feeling fear, it's about not giving in and acting even in the face of fear. To survive in that world consumed by fear, they need courageous people. And Kim thanks everyone for being there, and therefore, he will make an exception and buy 101 firearms and ammunition. Then, several weapons start falling from portals, and the experience and reward sharing rate will be adjusted to 100%. So everyone starts grabbing those weapons and ammunition, and with that, maybe they'll have some kind of chance. Those who choose to face their fear will be rewarded accordingly. But then he realizes he needs to use the ultimate eyes. After all, the battle has just begun. Ooh, this recap was really long, one of the longest I've ever done in a single video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thanks, and enjoy the next video.